3 days before the wedding, Julian said he wanted to take me to see our marital home, but he led me into a cramped studio that rented for $600 a month. I couldn't believe my eyes. "You want us to get married here?" Julian looked utterly righteous. "What? You have a problem with it?" "Serena, I'm still in the grind right now. Stick with me while I build from nothing, and I swear I'll put you in a waterfront mansion and give you the good life." Something still felt off, so I tried to persuade him gently. "But this is our wedding, the biggest day of our lives. Are you sure about a rental?" Julian lost patience. "Serena, stop looking down on rentals. This is the perfect test for you. Women shouldn't be so materialistic, or no man will ever want them." As we left, he tossed out one last line. "Oh, rent's $600 a month. Don't forget to Venmo me your $300. 3 days later, I accidentally watched him stride into Riverdale's luxury sales gallery and casually sign for a $300 million clifftop villa for childhood. Chloe, clinging to his arm, beamed. "Julian, if your fiancée knew you were this generous to me while making her split the rent, would she die of anger?" Julian's lips curled in a sneer. Cheap goods are all she can afford, and a dump is all she deserves. Marrying into the Sterling dynasty is a privilege. This is the test she's got to pass. I laughed. The puny Sterling family isn't fit to polish my father's shoes, yet they parade in front of me? I dialed on the spot. "Dad, scrap that deal with Sterling you agreed to as a favor to me." Inside the buzzing gallery, Julian was the center of gravity, everyone crowding to congratulate him. President Sterling really knows how to spend 10 minutes, and he bags a $300 million villa. We can only worship from afar. "This Sterling must be your girlfriend?" "Sterling, you're so good to her." Chloe, in a white cocktail dress, cooed up at him. "You've got it wrong. Julian's my childhood, not my boyfriend. I just whined that my place was tiny for my birthday, and he gave me a villa as a gift." She pretended to clarify, but her eyes overflowed with smug triumph. She tucked her arm through his with practiced ease. The pair looked like a magazine spread. "Silly me, I never realized Sterling gives friends villas for birthdays. If that's how he treats a friend, imagine how he'll spoil his girlfriend." Is Sterling accepting new friends by any chance?" Julian wore a hand-tailored $1 million suit, nothing like the sloppy pauper act he'd performed for me. The moment he appeared, he became the gallery's living legend. 10 minutes, $300 million, a waterfront mansion, high enough to shove the whole luxury neighborhood onto the trending tab. Amid the gasps and flattery, Julian lifted one corner of his mouth. "My girlfriend's slot isn't that easy to fill." Cool and concise, he rose with Chloe. "Excuse us." Only after he vanished did I unclench my fists. I still hadn't caught my breath. "Vance, shall we proceed with the villa?" the saleswoman asked gently. I shook my head. "No, thank you." I stood on shaky legs, a dull, suffocating ache spreading through my chest. I'd come to the gallery because I couldn't bear the thought of a $600 rental as our marital home. I was going to buy this villa in Dad's name and gift it to us, inventing some story, lottery win, maybe, or a rich man I'd once rescued who wanted to repay me. Money's never been an issue for me, and Julian really did love me. At every crosswalk, he put me on the safer inside curb. At every meal, he piled my favorite dishes onto my plate. He memorized my cycle down to the hour. He skipped breakfast for 3 months to buy me a birthday cake. Even when he made me split that miserly rent, I made excuses for him, told myself he was struggling. I believed he was only a tiger on the plain, certain his talent would one day give me everything. So I protected his pride while he was poor. Instead, I walked in on this spectacle. Julian wasn't some self-made pauper. He was Sterling's crown prince who had deliberately played bankrupt for 3 entire years. What scalded me most was that he hadn't blinked before dropping $300 million on childhood, yet he'd hounded me for $300. Did he think I was his personal ATM? I stepped outside and immediately called my assistant. "Pull everything on Julian. I want the full, unfiltered file." Half an hour later, an email landed in my inbox. Pages and pages of data. Turned out Julian's father was the man who'd practically knelt in our living room last week begging Dad to invest in Sterling. The attachment was stuffed with photos. Julian in nightclub VIP rooms showering childhood with cash. Birthday bashes where he flung designer bags at her like confetti. Chloe's Instagram a catalog of gifts he'd lavished on her. My single Chanel? A knockoff. He'd given the real one to Chloe and palmed the fake, receipt and all, on me. I'd actually felt sorry for him, convinced he'd been duped, and quietly covered the entire year's rent plus 2 months of living expenses out of my own pocket. By the time I finished reading, I laughed, an angry, rattling laugh. My eyes froze on the last quote, Julian's own words at the gallery. Serena? She's cheap, clingy, only good for knockoffs and slums. If she wants into the Sterling dynasty, this is the test she has to pass. My vision blurred anyway. All I'd given, all I'd thought was love, had only ever impressed me. To Julian, I was just shamelessly throwing myself at him. I was done playing along. I fired off a text. Julian, we're over. I didn't even detour to the studio. I sent my assistant to trash everything I'd left there. Anything that reminded me of Julian went straight into the garbage. 2 hours later, my phone detonated with his calls. Serena, what's your drama this time? The wedding's in 3 days. Do you have any clue how swamped I am? I'm killing myself to earn money for you, to give you a good life, to get you into a sports car ASAP. I'm pulling 18-hour days like a draft horse. Do I look like I have time for your tantrums? If you're serious about breaking up, stop the theatrics and pack your trash. He rattled off every line without letting me get a word in, then hung up with a decisive click. I stared at the laptop screen streaming the live feed my private I had patched through. The same Julian who just slammed the phone down now tossed it aside, yanked Chloe, still wearing my wedding gown, into a corner and kissed her hard against the wall. Your girlfriend's breaking up with you, and you won't even coax her? And Chloe murmured against his ear, fingers tangled in the silk. Julian, I'm in your fiancé's dress while we do this. If I stain it, what happens when she sees it tomorrow? So, what if she finds out? Julian let out a cold laugh. She's crazy about me. I'm flat broke, and she still won't break up with me even if she has to pay for everything. We could sleep together right in front of her, and she'd still marry me with tears in her eyes. Poor girls like her only have one shot at turning their lives around. Marrying me? You think she's stupid? She's calculating. If I ever make it big, she'll be the rich Sterling. They were tangled up in the fitting room, wild and desperate. I didn't have the patience to keep watching. 3 years of pretending to be poor to fool me, 3 years of making me split the rent, treating me like a dog. Now, 3 days before our wedding, he's screwing another woman and ruining my wedding gown. Did he really think I was that easy to bully? I stayed calm and rational the whole time. I downloaded the live stream clip my private investigator had sent me and reposted it to social media. Half an hour later, the video had exploded across the internet. Some people recognized Julian. OMG, isn't that Julian? Can't believe he's this kind of scum. Their wedding is in 3 days, and he's cheating on his fiancée. Rich people really know how to play. I recognize that guy. He's the trust fund prince who dropped $300 million on a clifftop villa at the Riverdale deed office. And the woman with him that day was this same mistress. They've been at it for ages. In barely 10 minutes, the comment count under the video hit 99 plus. Kind-hearted netizens kept tagging me. Spread the word. Let the poor girl see this. Julian's girlfriend, come quick. Your man's cheating. And he's been faking poverty to scam you. Kick the loser to the curb. Most of those avatars and usernames belong to sweet girls. My heart warmed at the sight. I logged into my side account and posted, I see it, Ellis. I've already dumped the jerk. May the scumbag and his side piece get pregnant fast and fill the world with their brats. The second I hit send, the door flew open with a kick. I looked up from my desk into Julian's bloodshot eyes. He stormed over, phone in hand. Serena, look what you've done. Do you have any idea this could destroy me and Chloe? The video had sent Julian into a panic. He'd raced straight to me. I saw your comment. I know you posted that clip. Delete it now.
I didn't admit a thing.
But his eyes were red, his fingers digging into my shoulders, hate rolling off him in waves. You've known I was faking poverty all along, haven't you? Serena, how could you be so vicious? If you've got a problem, come at me. Why upload it? Don't you care if Chloe survives this? I laughed coldly. If you're brave enough to do it, don't be afraid of people seeing it. Didn't you swear everything you did was upright and nothing to hide? Julian froze. That vow had been made back when we were happiest. He'd also promised never to lie, to stay honest with me forever, to put me first. All bullshit. I can explain, he rasped, voice stiff. We were drunk that night. I thought Chloe was you. You know she's always just a friend, like a sister to me. If anything had ever happened between us, how could you even exist? Same tired lines, making it sound like I was the drama queen while he's the sensible one. He knew better than anyone those excuses were garbage. They'd done everything and gotten off on the sneaking around. I stared at him, smirking. So, you finally admit you lied to me for 3 years. Looking straight into his eyes, I asked, word by word. I only want to know why. Why couldn't you show me your real self? Why pretend to be broke, claim you had a gambling dad and a sick mom, say every paycheck went back home, that you needed my help just to get by? You were never short of money, and you seem to love me. When you were at your poorest, I played poor too, pretending I was homeless. You rented me a cramped studio for $600 a month, said we'd rough it there until you made your first million, then you'd buy me a mansion. How could you lie so boldly, so righteously? Julian sneered, not a flicker of guilt in him, chin lifted high. Serena, don't you know I'm the next head of Sterling? Everyone in Kings knows the Sterling dynasty. I was born rich. Every girl who hit on me wanted my money. You seemed decent, perfect wife material. Pretending to be poor was just a test. He studied me, then stroked my cheek with faux tenderness. Serena, you're smart. Now that you see the truth, you should play along. That's how you get what you want. Marry into money and become a society queen. But by exposing everything, you've ruined the game. I slapped his hand away and stepped back, disgusted. Right in front of him, I pulled out an alcohol wipe and scrubbed my skin. His face went livid. What's that supposed to mean, Serena? I didn't even look up. Nothing. You're just filthy. Serena. He ground my name between his teeth, patience worn thin. Fists clenched, he threatened. Do yourself a favor. Delete that video. Or I'll make you regret it. I laughed. I've never been scared by threats. I still don't know what regret feels like. Not only did I leave the clip online, I blasted it into my family group chat and asked mom, dad, relatives, everyone to share it. Overnight, the clip only burned hotter. Chloe, the star of the footage, climbed to a rooftop that evening and threatened to jump. Julian lost it, called me a dozen times, demanding I erase the video. I switched my phone off and slept like a baby. Next morning, I woke to a barrage of pings and clips. Even my jet-setting bestie had seen it and messaged frantically. Serena, check the news. You're viral and people are ripping you apart. Baffled, I opened the trending tab. A headline screamed, hashtag Schemer Serena. Dirty tricks to marry rich. Drives victim to suicide leap. Hashtag. I blinked. How was I the dirty one? Reading on, the picture got clear. I could guess with my eyes closed. Julian bought the bot army smearing me. To get back at me, he spread lies that I was a gold digger who dated him 3 years for his money. He'd only been testing me, he claimed, and I retaliated viciously. Even our friends were framed. Yesterday's sympathetic netizens now flipped 180. Serena's such a skank. Poor, psycho, and sleazy. Disgusting. Sure, every sob story has a nasty side. I told you a rich, gorgeous trust fund kid like Julian would never cheat. He can have any woman he wants. Another gold-digging climber trying to marry into money. People who hurt others deserve the worst. The internet was one giant pylon, every post spitting my name. They swallowed the smear campaign Julian's bot army fed them. Even yesterday's grainy clip of Julian and childhood grinding in a fitting room had been whitewashed. Because I'm the gold digger. The video? My Photoshop stunt. The story now claimed I dosed Julian and Chloe, staged the scene, and hit record. Julian even did a tearful live stream. Think about it. How convenient is that? The second I cheat, she has perfect footage. That's not coincidence. That's a trap. Righteous keyboard warriors lost their minds. They scraped my LinkedIn, my office address, my license plate. I hadn't shown up to work for 2 days. My car sat in front of the cramped studio. Vance, your ride's been pummeled. Looks like Swiss cheese. Totaled, my assistant messaged, sighing over the clip. Police? He asked. I pondered, calm. Sure, but let the damages climb. Bigger price tag, bigger sentence. An online lynch mob feels like invisible mustard gas. Silent war. I refused to let it drift away with a shrug. Julian, the puppeteer, had to pay. I muted the hate, powered off my phone, and drove to the clifftop villa I actually owned for a 3-day blackout. My housekeeper carpeted the tub with rose petals. I soaked until the water cooled, then swung 9 holes of golf. When I strode back, sweat slick and loose, a FaceTime ping waited Julian. He was downstairs at the old studio building, apoplectic. Serena, you vanished. Whose bed have you been warming? I know you're pouting, but this is sick. Where'd you trash my stuff? And the gifts I bought you? Don't think your little runaway act will make me crawl. I won't beg. If you still want that tiara, you've got 15 minutes to get down here. I glanced at my watch and nodded. Time we talk. Time for final reckoning. My driver rolled up to the complex. I dropped a pin in the family group chat and tagged Dad. I'm here. Serena. I stepped out, and Julian's snarl smacked me before I could breathe. Knew you couldn't quit the jackpot life. Crawled back like a good girl. Now you know I'm Julian. Beg nicely, apologize to Chloe, delete that video, and I'll forgive you. He talked like he was handing out communion. Might even toss you 2 rentals rent-free. I laughed. I own the whole block. Why would I need charity from him? My chuckle flipped a switch. You even online? Read what they're calling you. Serena, the shamelessness. Keep stalling and I'll flood the feeds. You'll be dodging rotten eggs at Whole Foods. My voice went arctic. You owe the apology. Julian, you conned me for 3 years. Time to balance the books. Surprise, you're Julian, but I'm Serena. He snorted like I'd told a knock-knock joke. You? Some heiress? Which blue blood princess splits $600 rent and Venmos me for groceries? Learn to lie better. You have no clue who Serena is. Only child of Riverdale royalty. Stop embarrassing yourself. Chloe slid beside him, lacing fingers through his like a flag claim. Serena, I'm not some barrio project like you. My family's legacy needs a son-in-law, so relax. I'm not stealing your man. We're just close. Kneel, say sorry, and poof, problem gone. Julian stroked her hair. That's our Chloe, sweet to a fault. I smirked. Legacy? Your dad could shine my Louboutins and still not qualify. Julian's patience snapped. He clamped my neck, shoving me toward the concrete, toward Chloe's feet. Slum trash like you versus a princess? Blame the womb that birthed you, then kneel. Julian, let go. I thrashed. He snapped his fingers. 2 bodyguards seized my arms and ankles. Then a blade-cold voice sliced the air. Enough. A helicopter idled on the lawn. Guards fanned out like chess rooks. Victor stepped through, frost in every syllable. Let's see sterling muscle try forcing my daughter to kneel. I exhaled. Dad. He'd been closing a deal overseas. My pin rocketed him home by chopper. Head swiveled. Julian's complexion drained when he recognized the man under the rotor wash. V. Victor, he stammered, paralyzed. Serena, snap out of it. That's Victor. He can't be your father. Delusional much. Even the goons flanking Julian inched back, sensing whether they couldn't survive. They'd all heard it. Dad called me daughter. Is he delusional too? Victor's gaze swept the courtyard, settling on Julian like a guillotine. Julian, impressive, bullying my child. That girl has been my universe since diapers. I never let her scrape a knee, and you dare force her to kneel? The words detonated inside Julian's skull. It rang like tinnitus. Still numb, he quavered. Vance, sir. Where exactly is your daughter? His trembling finger pointed at me. You're not saying, Serena is? Victor narrowed his eyes, voice sub-zero. Who else? See another Vance here? Julian took the hit like voltage, legs buckling, collapsing onto asphalt. He stared up at me, horror eclipsing his face. He knew what Vance meant in Kings. He knew Victor was the man legends whispered about. People say you'd rather offend a politician than cross Victor. His methods are so ruthless they make the devil flinch. Chloe turned paper white at the sight, shrinking back step by step. Even the bodyguards on Julian's side almost bolted like startled birds. Before they could make it out the door, Dad's detail blocked the exits. Dad turned to me, voice gentle. Which parts of you did those animals touch? I pointed, aggrieved, at my arm, then my leg, then my knee. Those guards pinned my arms and legs. It hurt. Julian stomped on my knee twice. I thought it would shatter. The moment the words left my mouth, Dad's face went slate black. Break every hand and foot that laid on her. At the order, his stone-faced men stepped forward. A chorus of sickening cracks. Julian's hired muscle sprawled on the floor, howling in agony. Next in line, Julian himself. When he saw the guards advance, his face bleached. No, Victor, this is all a misunderstanding. Naked survival filled his eyes. Victor, I didn't know Serena was your daughter. Please, you have to understand. I'm her boyfriend, her fiancé. In panic, he blurted it all out. It was just a joke. I thought Serena was lying, so I played along. We're getting married in 2 days. Besides, I'm a Sterling. Sterling and Vance are business partners. Dad answered with a cold, mocking laugh. Partners? He rolled the prayer beads between his fingers. Not for long. Julian, you think I don't know you? My youngest was bored and felt like slumming it with you. I let her have her fun. But you got greedy. And his stare turned arctic. You really believed I hadn't seen the garbage online? At that, Julian's whole body convulsed. He slumped, ash-faced. He knew explanations were useless. Victor's legend wasn't built on mercy. He'd pegged me as a project girl chasing a payday, a nobody he could string along. He'd burned 3 years of my life. Sure, he had me cornered at the altar, never guessing my corner was guarded by Dad. Victor, I'm sorry, I was blind. I broke the rules. I'll scrub every clip, every headline. Serena's name will be spotless. On his knees, he shuffled toward me. He tugged the hem of my skirt like it was sacred. Serena, why didn't you tell me you're the Vance heiress? None of this would have happened. Vance and Sterling are equals. If I'd known, I wouldn't have needed to test you. I laughed, then slammed my heel into his chest. Spare me the noble rot. Equals? You and me? A sleaze like you, if you weren't so good at playing poor, I wouldn't have glanced twice. Sterling isn't fit to carry my father's shoes. Julian's mouth opened and closed, words dead on his tongue. Never had I seen him this small. Serena, everything you say is true. Just give me one more chance. You know Sterling started from zero. My dad built it brick by brick. Of course, he wants me careful about the woman I marry. The air's clear now. We'll hold the wedding tomorrow. I'll add 2 estates and $5 million for the bride price, plus the clifftop villa as our marital home, deal? Seeing Julian beg, Chloe lost it, lunging forward in tears. Julian, you promised you'd never marry her, remember? She clutched his hand, sobbing. And today? We came to punish Serena. She posted that video first, she attacked us. Julian's face snapped. He glared like she was poison. Shut your mouth. He flung her off as if she were toxic. Still talking about that video. If you hadn't seduced me, I'd never have touched you. And that lie about Serena drugging us? Your brainchild. Chloe's eyes bulged, disbelief shattering her childhood dreams. What are you saying? How can you dump this on me? Before she could finish, Julian backhanded her, again and again. Don't smear me. Serena and I have been together 3 years. We're days from the altar. You stirred the pot, admit it. Dad's faint smirk said he'd watched the entire circus and chosen not to stop it. Only when Julian finally collapsed at Dad's feet did he speak. Victor, Uncle Victor, you must have approved of me once, right? Tell me what you want, anything. Just let me marry Serena? Dad's gaze slid to me, half amused. That call isn't mine. Ask my daughter. And even she can't wave a magic wand. If you want this buried, you'll go on camera, confess you orchestrated the smear, and restore my daughter's name. 1,000 protests died in Julian's throat. Under Victor's stare, he could only nod. I'll clear Serena's name and spell out every dirty detail, he muttered. Sure enough, that afternoon the clip hit my feed. Julian, face bare, slapped himself on live stream. I lost my mind. Childhood Chloe tempted me in the fitting room, and I caved. Then I dumped the blame on my innocent fiancé. Serena never drugged anyone. We invented that excuse. After the confession, he stared into the lens like a heartsick puppy. Serena, I know you're watching. Everyone makes mistakes, forgive me, and I swear it ends here. The day you moved out, the house died. Come back to me. Meet me at tomorrow's wedding, please. He turned the live stream into a public proposal. I nearly threw up. And at the wedding the next day, to prove his devotion, he kept the cameras rolling. Too bad I hadn't been there to watch. His deep love had turned into a one-man act, and the curtain had fallen on a wretched finale. Julian called me, voice cracking. Serena, what will it take for you to forgive me? You wanted to marry me once, why? Why don't you love me anymore? I couldn't help a cold laugh. You think I could keep loving you after I saw you and Chloe like that with my own eyes? And besides, these 3 years we called a relationship were nothing but one lie after another. It was always a mirage, a trick of moonlight on water. Time to cut it clean off. I hung up the second I finished speaking. Half a month later, Julian, a whole belt size thinner, blocked my path outside the mall, a wreck of himself. He dropped his knees and begged, Serena, I know I was wrong. I'm on my knees. Why won't you let me off the hook? Do you have to see Sterling ruined before you're happy? That was when I realized Dad had stepped in to fight for my pride. If I'm not mistaken, you're talking about the partnership deal? But did it never cross your mind that, with so many bidders, Sterling won only because I asked Dad to hand it to them? Because of you? At my words, Julian's eyes flickered, struck. He fell into silence. He had to be remembering the venture that could net several $billions. The way the old houses of kings had torn at one another like wolves over fresh meat. Who walked away with it had always been Dad's call. I'd asked him to favor Sterling for the simple reason that Julian carried the name. And, because of Julian, Sterling had bought childhood a $300 million clifftop villa while he asked me to split the $600 monthly rent on a cramped studio, telling me I was a gold digger who deserved public housing and knockoff Chanel. I called Dad and said, cancel the deal Sterling begged you for. Give it to anyone, just not Sterling. Dad knew I was dating Julian. He knew I was naive, quick to trust. The moment he'd learned of the romance, he had Julian investigated, and when the report said, decent character, solid family, he'd let it ride. I used to make him play along with my broke girl act, and he'd laugh and agree. After all, it was only a lover's game. He never guessed I'd actually been played. So he yanked the contract without a second thought, and Sterling watched the choice cut of meat flap right out of its jaws. They greased every palm they knew before someone whispered that the trouble had started with Julian. That same day, Richard had Julian dragged home and beaten half senseless. It's this animal. He nearly buried Sterling. He could have fooled anyone, but he picked Victor's daughter. If he wants to die, that's his deal. But Sterling intends to live. I disown him, throw him out on the street. Margaret wept as if her heart would rip, pleading nonstop. Richard, don't be cruel. Julian is our only child. Drive him out, and the Sterling line ends with us. With first-class wailing, fainting, and threats of suicide, she steadied her husband, then turned around and fed Julian a poisonous idea. Serena loved you once. Women are all the same. She broke up because you slept with Chloe and she's jealous. Pay some men to ruin her, then swoop in like her savior. She'll come running back. Julian stared at her, horrified. Mom, have you lost your mind? If Victor gets wind of this, we're all dead. Margaret gave a thin laugh. Fool, just keep it quiet. Clean up every loose end. Nobody will trace it to you. Julian waited for a long while, then nodded. That night, he asked me to meet him at a bar, and showed up late. A pack of drunks cornered me, dragging me toward a private room. Before they could lay a hand on me, the bodyguard's dad kept on my tail, burst in, and kicked them flying. When Dad heard I'd almost been assaulted, his fury shook the house. Find every last man who laid a finger on her, crush them. The trail ended at Sterling's door. A storm's coming. Sterling's heading for bankruptcy. That night, Dad spoke only those words. Next morning, Sterling's bankruptcy filing blared across every front page. Cornered, Julian tried to sell the villa he'd given childhood. The $300 million King's Mansion in the hottest zip code. Julian, have you no shame? That was my birthday gift. You can't take it back. Chloe barricaded herself inside and refused to budge. The two tore into each other. Chloe, you're the shameless one. $300 million? You honestly think you rate it? I was blind. Turns out you're the real gold digger. To snatch the deed, he brought in muscle. Chloe ended up crippled. Julian, you drove me to the edge, so I'm dragging you with me. In a last, desperate bite. She dumped every flirty clip they'd ever filmed. The world finally saw. From day one, Julian had lied, laughing behind my back. Each late-night meeting had been a romp with childhood. Every weekend trip with their smug little crew, an orgy of gossip about me. They flew in pairs, 2 guys, 2 girls, calling it bro bonding. Only a dog would buy that. Chloe wounded me for 800, herself for 1,000. Her reputation cratered. The Sterling family teetered near collapse, disowned her overnight, and slammed the gate behind her. The last time I saw Julian wore a torn suit so filthy you couldn't name its color. His hair a bird's nest, every trace of the dashing air gone. A broken beggar with a cracked bowl, he spotted me stepping out of a limo, flinched in shame, and bolted into a dead-end alley. I didn't expose him. I simply climbed back into the car and vanished from his life for good. Later, a letter reached me, apparently smuggled in by the bodyguards. Don't bother reading it, trash. Reading or not changed nothing. Why lend even a sliver of time to the irrelevant? After that, Mom and Dad stopped pushing marriage. They doted on me like a princess, terrified I might bruise. I flew to the Maldives alone, then set off to circle the globe. No romance, no vows. I'm still queen of my own realm, and I live brighter and better because of it. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked the video, hit like and share it with friends. We can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales.
See you next time.
Year 8 of our marriage, and photos of Blake vacationing through Europe with his childhood sweetheart were suddenly all over the internet. The girl even captioned them shamelessly, "Forever in love, never an epilogue." I gave the post a thumbs up from my public account, then turned around and posted our marriage certificate on Twitter. He rang to demand an explanation. When he finally finished venting, I said in the calmest voice imaginable, "As you wish, let's get a divorce." He called just as I finished packing the last of my things from the Sterling Manor. It was almost comical, 8 years married to him, and besides the perfunctory gifts he'd hand me each year, my personal belongings barely filled 2 suitcases. Hardly surprising. After I'd defied my family for him, he'd kept me at home under the noble banner of virtuous wife and good mother. At first he'd still let me carry his supplementary black card. Later he began faulting me for everything, from my inability to read company trends to my failure to be as carefree and dazzling as Chloe, until even that card was taken back. I picked up to hear his icy voice, Chloe's soft sobs faint in the background. I glanced at the time. Europe was nearing midnight, hardly an hour that invited innocent explanations. "Vivian, what the hell are you playing at? Do you have any idea what kind of online harassment Chloe is getting because of you?" The last ember of hope inside me winked out. He wouldn't even remember that today was our wedding anniversary. Before, I would have rushed to whitewash the scandal in public. The last time Chloe pulled a stunt like this, I had excuses ready long before Blake faced friends and relatives. But now, I was done making excuses for either of them. "Apologize to Chloe right now, post online that it was all a misunderstanding, and maybe I'll forgive you," he ordered. Listening to that arrogant voice, I still felt a twinge in my chest. When I stayed silent, he softened a fraction, though his tone remained non-negotiable. "Vivian, Chloe is just in a bad place. We grew up together, you know I can't leave her alone." In the past, those words would have ignited a blowout fight, because Chloe already had a boyfriend. The man simply didn't belong to an old money name like Whitaker or Sterling, so Chloe never acknowledged him in front of Blake. But now his declaration left me oddly serene. Right. Even with a boyfriend, Chloe still needs your company. Silence on the line, then his voice turned glacial. I cut him off. I'd had enough lectures and threats. "So, as you wish, we divorce." Several seconds of quiet followed before his detached question came. "You seriously want a divorce?" "I'm not throwing a tantrum. I want a divorce." He gave a short laugh, certain the wife who'd trailed after him for years was bluffing. "Playing hard to get. Doesn't work on me." "Fine, since you asked, we'll divorce. Just don't come crawling back in tears." The call died. I stared at the screen as it dimmed to black, lost in thought. Eleanor's call came immediately after. "Vivian, how could you? That girl Chloe adores Blake. She's just a child, pampered by the Whitakers, a little naive. She made a silly mistake. But if she's willful, should you, as the older sister, really slap her down like this? Delete that post, come back to the manor with him and a gift, apologize to Chloe, then put out a statement online. She'll forgive you, and it'll blow over." I almost laughed aloud at the audacity. When Blake and I had first announced our engagement, Eleanor treated me like a priceless jewel, changing my tea if it cooled by 3 degrees. Now she expected me to swallow every humiliation without protest. Do hearts change? Not really. Sterling, Blake and I are about to divorce. I posted the truth. I have nothing to apologize for. And I'm not sure why Chloe calls me older sister. It's the 21st century, concubines are out of fashion. I hung up and tossed Eleanor into my blocked list. I glared at my phone. This still wasn't enough. The scandal mushroomed. Though Blake and Chloe threw Sterling and Whittaker weight behind suppressing the story, the uproar refused to die. Their European idyll ended early. After confirming their new flight through mutual friends, I rang Blake. Only after many rings did he pick up. Figured out your mistake. Get back here and apologize to Chloe. I almost laughed at his self-assurance, ignoring it completely. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., the county clerk's office. A snort traveled down the line. I'm taking Chloe home to the Whittakers tomorrow to clean up your mess. I don't have time. Though I'd already let Blake go, his certainty that I should yield to Chloe still made my chest tighten. Suit yourself. I'll wait until 10. If you don't show, I'll file suit for divorce. I hope you're brave enough to follow through. Don't come weeping at my door later. He hung up almost at once. Listening to the dial tone, I felt a wave of dizziness. In the beginning, Blake and I had been inseparable, sweet as honey. But as time passed and more things happened, I began to see the rot deep inside him: indifference, womanizing, arrogance. Time had changed everything. Early the next morning I waited for him outside the county clerk's office. Half an hour. 1 hour. 2 hours. By the time the scorching noon sun hung directly overhead, I knew he wasn't coming. I wiped the sweat from my face, turned, and called family I hadn't spoken to in ages. The instant the call connected, something seemed to flash past me. Dad. Before I could say more, his clear, steady voice came through. If you're having regrets, come home. Your mom and I are always behind you. Come for dinner tonight. Alex will make your favorite sweet and sour ribs. My nose stung. I rubbed it and mumbled, Dad, could you find me a good divorce lawyer? He fussed a little, then immediately sent me a contact card. I added the attorney, explained my situation briefly, and he said it was complicated. We should meet in person. I set the appointment for 3 days later. I'd barely finished when an obnoxious voice sounded behind me. Well, sis-in-law. What are you doing here? It was Jace, his best buddy. Back when Blake and I first got together, Jace had covered for him and Chloe plenty. After I exposed them, things turned frosty. Once, drunk, he'd even wished Blake and Chloe a long, happy life together. He hadn't defended me, only smiled and said, "He's wasted." We'd had a huge fight. He'd shouted, "Look at yourself. Nothing but a shrew. Why can't you be sweet and innocent like Chloe?" He claimed it was the booze talking. I believed it was the truth. Need something? We weren't exactly on sidewalk chatting terms. Arms slung around a curvy blonde, he grinned. Why aren't you riding back to the manor with him today? Without looking up I drawled, waiting for him to sign the papers. Jace froze, then stared like he hadn't heard right. Come on, sis, Blake and Chloe are just friends. You're overreacting. I nodded. May every person you love have lots of just friends like that. His smile collapsed. Ignoring him, I opened my car door. The AC washed away my irritation. My phone showed unread messages in an old group chat. Blake and Chloe arriving at the manor together. Chloe smiling serenely, Blake gazing at the crown of her head. Ours had been an old money alliance, yet we'd clicked. Eventually I truly fell for him. When Sterling's cash flow dried up, I'd filled the hole without blinking. He hugged me, swore he'd build the company into an empire and make me the envied Sterling. Eleanor and Richard were gentle then. When Adrian warned me Sterling might have bigger appetites, I'd laughed. Now, once my parents' protection slipped and they saw I loved him, my life flipped. He came home later and later, business dinners piled up, gossip columns buzzed, Eleanor and Richard turned cold, and after Chloe returned they barely looked at me. My phone pinged, Blake. Chloe has a fever. Divorce can wait till tomorrow. Looking at that perfect couple photo, I felt only irony. Casey, maybe every scrap of my so-called happiness was wrapped in this mirage. Now that I saw Blake clearly, I couldn't be bothered to play along. I drove straight to the Sterling estate. Sterling had sensed the liquidity crack and pulled out in time. If I hadn't been blinded by love and poured every cent I had into his company, we might be even stronger today. I came home early, but everyone was already there, lined up on the sofa waiting. The moment Mom saw me, her eyes reddened. After I told them everything, Dad slammed the coffee table. The Sterlings have gone too far. Adrian calmed him, then turned to me. Vivian, I know you've got a plan. What do you want to do? I lifted my head, gaze steady. I want a divorce only. Before the divorce is final, I'm collecting interest from Sterling. For the 8 years I'd been married to him, I'd poured in real gold and silver, 8 years of youthful devotion, plus years of tolerance and grievances, every last cent of it he would repay. With Sterling quietly fanning the flames, the scandal of Blake and Chloe that had just been smothered flared up again. I posted the voice memo of the call Eleanor and Blake made to me that day, along with the shot of the two of them walking into the Sterling estate hand in hand, and sent them straight to the internet. Homewrecker, infidelity, old money elite, every tag was clickbait gold. In under half a day the story was everywhere, and Sterling's shares kept sliding. Sterling's official account countered with childhood photos of Blake and Chloe, the subtext screeching that I was hysterical, that Blake and Chloe were pure as driven snow, just best friends who'd grown up together. The tide turned. Plenty of commenters decided the two were only friends. Sterling's dynasty-level royalty. Of course the Alpha CEO keeps a couple side pieces, what's the big deal? I acted as if I hadn't heard a word. I blacklisted every Sterling employee and every friend of his, and simply waited for counsel to finish drafting the papers so I could officially divorce Blake. Sterling's cash crisis back then would have buried the company without me. Now, when I divorced Blake, every dime of interest coming to me could be donated to a foster home before I'd let him keep a penny. No matter how many times Sterling's lawyers insisted that my demand for a seventh of the estate was outrageous, I didn't care. That afternoon a mutual friend group chat showed me a candid of Blake and Chloe strolling along the beach. Neither looked touched by the storm, if anything, they were flashing matching bands. I had to admire their stress tolerance. The last of my hesitation burned away in an instant. Barely 2 minutes after the image appeared, Lydia, once my closest friend, reposted it online. Here's to everyone who thinks this is just friends, may your future spouses collect a few buddies just like these. The Redmonds were blue-blooded themselves. Lydia had loathed Chloe since nursery school, and most of their fortune sat offshore. Sterling could huff and puff, but it couldn't touch her, so Lydia waded in with claws out, shredding the shameless couple. Besides, Sterling's own house was on fire right then. The litigator Richard recommended moved fast, filing suit against Blake before the outrage cycle peaked. He stared at me in shock, unable to believe the woman who had always forgiven him could actually be ruthless. That same day, edgy and irritable, Blake changed his mind when the car was about to reach the Sterling estate. Take me to the villa. The villa had once been our newlywed nest, but he had hardly come back since. The driver swung the car around, and minutes later it rolled to a stop at the front steps. Inside, the house was spotless. The sight tightened his chest. He walked through the rooms and finally realized every trace of me had vanished. The gifts he'd given lay scattered in the dressing room like trinkets their owner had never valued. He felt a suffocating weight. He still refused to believe the divorce was real. Back when the tabloid rumors first started, I'd raged, threatened divorce, even stormed out. He assumed my love was bottomless. Once he confirmed I wasn't suicidal, he'd gone back to clubbing with lingerie models, flirting with assistants. Within a week I'd crawl home soft-spoken. He couldn't fathom why this time I wouldn't fold. Because of our anniversary? Impossible, since year 3, they'd stopped acknowledging it. He circled back to the old excuse. I was just jealous again. With public opinion tilting, Chloe panicked. A pampered princess, she cared about only 2 things, men and reputation. She hadn't fully hooked perfect on paper Blake, yet now wore the scarlet H for homewrecker, and the Whittaker name was splashed with mud. Hearing the clique's snide asides, she was desperate to flip the narrative. She remembered her almost invisible boyfriend, though she didn't know I'd flipped him first. No man tolerates endless unless he doesn't care or wants something bigger. Chloe's guy was the latter, third-tier old money, last in the birth order, no shot at the family firm. Tired of begging his eldest brother for cash, he hunted deep-pocketed heiresses. But Chloe's flagrant PDA with him bruised the pride of a boy raised on entitlement. While she got side-eye yet still had Whittaker and shaky Sterling clout, he had nothing. Her antics humiliated him. The moment I dangled a lifeline, he bit. Whittaker called a press conference and mid-event unveiled Chloe's engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, the gossip about my daughter and the Sterling boy is pure fantasy. The much-posted Europe trip. They weren't alone, Joshua was with them the entire time. Rowan shot Derek and Chloe a meaningful look. Chloe's arm was looped through Derek's, her smile demure, her tone absolute. That's right, if anyone else spreads rumors, my fiancé, and I will sue them into oblivion. Derek took the mic, stared down the wall of lenses, and sneered. Ladies and gentlemen, I, Derek Zhao, refuse to marry a woman this trashy and deceitful. The room froze, then erupted in whispers. Chloe's face drained white. She gaped at him in disbelief. Every word on the internet is true. Derek was ready. A flick of his wrist and the giant screen behind him began cycling proof. Before Blake flew to Europe with my poor fiancé, she told me she'd fought with her family and needed to get away alone, specifically asking me not to come. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Derek kept talking, each document neatly timestamped and explained. Chloe had never faced a firing squad like this. She stood rooted while Rowan signaled security, only to realize none of his men could get near the stage. Derek alone couldn't have choreographed this. The only person vicious enough to torch Chloe's reputation was that Sterling girl. On the other side of town, the spectacle didn't disturb Blake and me at all. Chloe had briefed him on her plan. He was already puffed up, certain that once her stunt delivered fresh evidence, even if we divorced, I'd walk away with crumbs. When the moment felt right, his counsel rose unhurriedly. We have new evidence. With the judge's nod, he played the Whittaker press conference footage. The second the clip ended, his complexion crashed. He lunged to stop it but was pulled back into his seat. He could only glare holes through me. When the presentation finished, I handed up the files proving I'd personally patched Sterling's liquidity crater during the crisis. Minutes later the ruling came down exactly as I'd calculated. Outside the courthouse Blake blocked my path, eyes black with rage. Vivian, you planned this. I was long past caring. I gave a small nod, expression neutral. Think whatever you want. Vivian. His voice cracked. We were husband and wife. You volunteered that money. Now you're taking 70% of Sterling? Did your breeding get devoured by dogs? Before I could answer, Adrian yanked me behind him, smiled thinly, and said, Sterling's breeding ran off to Europe with Cameron. Camera flashes fired like bullets, choking his reply. Sterling's name was already mud, and he couldn't risk more headlines. Fate piled on. Before I even reached the estate, the internet detonated with ridicule aimed at him and Chloe, especially Blake. His courthouse rant had been captured. People who'd called me vindictive suddenly realized Sterling would have collapsed without me. The mockery intensified. From adulterous to fraudulent trophy husband, every label tangled into a net that pulled tighter each hour. He seemed unhinged. He circled the Sterling gates incessantly and cycled through burner numbers to barrage me with calls and texts. After the 20th call, I told Alex to chase him off and hammer a new sign into the lawn. Blake and dogs not admitted. Cabin fever set in, so Lydia and I went shopping. Thanks to Sterling and a rival house feeding the flames, Blake and Chloe memes still had half a shelf life. When we returned, he was plastered to the gate like gum on a Louboutin heel. A thunderclap cracked, rain sheeted down. I glanced up and told Alex, bring the poor thing inside, it's pouring. His eyes lit up. Vivian was bluffing. She still loved him. He took one hopeful step, then watched Alex haul a soaked yellow and white puppy from the shrubs. When no one inside acknowledged him, his face went volcanic. Within minutes the rain had turned him into a drowned rat. Just as he turned to leave, an umbrella appeared over his head. He spun, ready to exploit the concern he was sure he'd see in my eyes, and found Chloe in a white sundress instead. Chloe, what are you doing here? His voice was stiff. He was accustomed to towering over her, and she'd always played along. He had never looked this pathetic. He shot one last glare at me through the window as I tickled the puppy. Chloe's smile was soft, but her eyes were fracturing. I heard Adrian was at Sterling, she murmured, and with this storm, she faltered, then lowered her head. It's raining so hard, Adrian. You didn't even bring an umbrella. If you get sick, what then? His heart had momentarily softened, but the next second he caught himself and quickly pulled Chloe back. Who exactly are they? The sorrow frozen on Chloe's face cracked. She'd assumed he would melt at her obedience and gentleness, never expecting. Still, she answered, just. Jace and Lydia. They're going crazy in the group chat. He clenched his teeth. Lydia again. Lydia had flown home with me, witnessed his belated stick-to-you act, and immediately spilled every detail to her girlfriends. Jace, meanwhile, had at me in the same chat with the ridiculous line, a reformed playboy is worth his weight in gold, sis. Forgive Blake, won't you? I snorted at his nonsense, snatched my phone off the sofa, and from the second-floor window snapped several shots of Blake and Chloe performing devoted couple at the Sterling gates. With a few taps I dropped the photos straight into the group. The chat fell dead silent. Even Jace, who'd been singing his praises, Flushed, resentment bubbling, he was here salvaging his reputation while Blake drooled over Chloe at the front door. They might be shameless, but he still had a face to keep. After that fiasco, Blake stayed out of my sight for days. Sterling's business hit the rocks. When I walked, I didn't take Sterling shares, I took the cash equivalent. He and I had a prenup, yet in 8 short years he'd rocketed the Sterling's higher, so my payout dwarfed my original stake. The moment the money hit my account, the company staged an encore of its favorite drama, a sudden cash crunch. Richard and Blake scrambled like ants on a hot plate, but Eleanor's eyes had already shifted to Chloe. Back then I was blinded by love, aching for forever, so I'd patched Sterling's hole in one lump sum. Eleanor had tasted that sugar and now openly hinted Chloe should do the same. Chloe clung to him partly for his looks, but chiefly because he was Sterling's heir, the Sterling who could sway Riverdale with a flick of his pen. Even if she wanted to play Stand By Your Man, her own purse was a drop in Sterling's bucket, and neither she nor the Whitakers planned to empty themselves for us. She wasn't his wife yet, and with my cautionary example of bankrolling Sterling right in front of her, both Chloe and the Whitakers refused to follow my footsteps. None of that concerned me anymore. After a few days' rest, I marched back into Sterling headquarters and reclaimed my old office. I just didn't expect Chloe to corner me in the parking garage after work. Problem? I asked, frowning at the dark circles under her eyes. Her face looked haggard, her gaze clouded. Vivian, she rasped. Why? Something felt off. I speed-dialed Adrian. Why? Why did you divorce him? Why did you take Sterling's money? Who says you could? Chloe's eyes flared, voice shrill. Because without me there'd be no Sterling today. I poured years into Blake. Did you think I was some temple goddess handing out charity? I stared her down, my contempt stabbing straight through her. I'm a businesswoman, Cameron. Weigh the gains, cut the losses, walk when the numbers sour, that's what we do. Her fists clenched at her sides, knuckles white. Without you I'd be Sterling. Half of everything would be mine. I almost laughed, arms folded, watching her performance. Suddenly she lunged like a maniac. I sidestepped, slammed her to the pavement. Vivian. Meeting my mocking smile, Chloe remembered long before marriage I'd studied Krav Maga for 10 years. Minutes later the cops arrived with Adrian in tow. Police at Sterling HQ, me escorted to a squad car, word shot back to the family, and Blake, too rattled to verify, leaked the story online. Barely a month had passed since the last scandal, netizens still had fresh memories, and when the official statement finally landed the comments exploded, but the truth was out. He finally saw it. Chloe never loved him, she only wanted to graft herself onto Sterling. Balancing the pros and cons, he dusted off his repentant husband role and came crawling back only to find rival old money clans circling like vultures, carving Sterling apart while he fought fires on every front. By the time Sterling filed for bankruptcy I already knew the market by heart. I strode back in and took control of the company. Thanks for listening. Rate today's story 1 to 10, and if you liked it smash like and share. We can't wait to read your comments, subscribe for more, see you next time. My name is Brianna, I'm 25, and I'm the lead designer at Stellar Jewelry. With only 3 days left until my wedding to Chase, I'm in the atelier making final tweaks. The Eternal Vow collection I created for our ceremony is Casey about finished. The set took me 6 months to design, a 5-carat pink diamond center stone, 18-carat rose gold mounts, and PAV diamonds that spell the promise of love that never tarnishes. Brianna, still burning midnight oil? Mia pushes the door open and walks in, Chase's cousin by marriage, fresh out of college and interning at our company. Almost done. Why are you still here? I glance up, then return to the tiny engravings along the ring's shank. Chase told me to wait so we can leave together. He says the streets have been a little unsafe lately. She steps beside me, eyes fixed on the jewels. Wow, it's gorgeous. Is that your actual wedding ring? I nod, unable to hide a proud smile. It's my Eternal Vow set, one of a kind anywhere on the planet. Chase is so lucky, getting a wife this talented. There's a strange note in Mia's voice I can't quite place. Right then Chase walks in. Still at it. My poor baby's working so hard. He comes over and kisses my forehead. Tomorrow's the expo, your line will steal the whole show. I lean into him, laughing. Of course it will, it's my masterpiece. Mia, head home first. I'll drive Brianna, Chase says. Mia nods sweetly. Then I'll go. Good night, sis. Watching her leave, I feel a flicker of unease I can't name. What's on your mind? Chase notices my distraction. Nothing, probably just pre-wedding nerves. I shake my head and lock the jewels inside the safe. Back home, Chase fixes me my usual honey lemon tea. Nervous about tomorrow's expo, he asks, pulling me onto the sofa. A little. Mostly I want more people to see the pieces. I curl against him, breathing in his familiar cologne. I've loved this man for 3 full years. From our awkward college introduction to the altar waiting in 3 days, we've been through plenty. He bankrolled my dreams, funded my atelier, even turned down blind dates his parents arranged. I love you, Brianna, he blurts, voice oddly thick. I tilt my head, his eyes won't meet mine. What's with the sudden drama? Just feels good to have found you. He hugs me tight. Promise you'll never leave me, all right? At the time I thought it was wedding jitters, now I know it sounded more like a guilty goodbye. Next morning I reach the exhibition hall early to set up. Today is Eastbrook's biggest jewelry fair, every major brand unveiling new lines. My Eternal Vow collection sits dead center at C position. Ms. Sterling, your work is phenomenal, the organizer gushes. Pre-registrations have already smashed records. I'm glowing. The series carries every hope I have for love and career. Brianna, you're here at dawn. Mia shows up in a white sundress, looking impossibly innocent. Why are you in so early? I ask, surprised. I want to watch your big moment. Chase said he'd drop by this afternoon. At Chase's name my face lights up. He mentioned a surprise. After we finish arranging displays, Mia and I grab coffee nearby. Sis, can I ask you something? She begins out of nowhere. Shoot. Are you and Chase truly in love? The question feels weird. Of course, Casey will be married. She stirs her latte, eyes down. If one day you found out he didn't love you as much as you think, what would you do? I frown. What's gotten into you? Such odd questions. Just curious. She smiles, but it feels off. At 2 p.m. the fair opens. Crowds swarm my booth, everyone raving about Eternal Vow. I stand to the side, brimming with pride. Ms. Sterling, a client wants a custom version, money no object, assistant whispers excitedly. Then I spot Chase at the entrance. I start toward him, but he veers away, heading somewhere else. Curious, I follow. And I see the last thing I ever wanted to see. Chase stops at a quiet booth where Mia waits. They fall into each other's arms, glued together, oblivious to the crowds. Worse, on Mia's left ring finger glitters a diamond ring. I know that ring intimately. It's the Eternal Vow centerpiece I finished yesterday, the 5-carat pink diamond sparkling under the lights. The wedding ring I designed for myself now adorns another woman. My blood turns to ice. I can't move. Chase smooths Mia's hair as if she's some priceless sculpture. Like it, he murmurs, soft, but I hear every word above the bustle. Mia gazes up, shy and glowing. Love it. So beautiful, typical Brianna design. Good, as long as you're happy. He kisses her forehead. My heart feels clamped in a vice, breathing hurts. The man I loved 3 years, the groom waiting 3 days away, is lavishing on someone else a tenderness I've never seen. The ultimate insult, the token of his betrayal, is my own creation. Chase, what if Brianna finds out? Mia worries. She won't. She's swamped with clients, no time to spy on us. He strokes her cheek. Anyway, so what if she does? The wedding's the day after tomorrow, done deal. But I feel awful. She trusts me. Mia, remember, I love you, not her. He looks deadly serious. Marrying her is just a family necessity. Once the deal's sealed, I'll find a way out, and we'll be together in the open. Tears shimmer in Mia's eyes. Then why not tell your family? Why go through with the wedding? You know Dad's investment firm is in trouble. Brianna's background will help. After the wedding I'll engineer a divorce, and we're free. By now my knees are jelly, so I'm nothing but a useful pawn. Our 3-year romance, the altar flowers, the vows, just business. Promise you won't fall for her once you're married? Mia bites her lip. Chase laughs. Impossible. Sure, she's gifted, but she's uptight, zero fun. Not like you, gorgeous, adorable. How could I not love you? Stop it. Mia lightly punches his chest. He pulls her closer. Come on, let's hit the cafe upstairs, too many eyes here. Watching them walk off wrapped around each other, I slump against a pillar. Tears rush down, but I swallow every sob. This is my show. I won't let the crowd see me shatter. Ms. Sterling, you okay? A staffer asks. Fine, just exhausted. I blot my cheeks and rearrange my smile. Back at my booth I recite specs like a robot, professional grin stapled on. But inside I'm dead. Eternal vow, what a joke. The jewelry meant to witness endless love now brands his betrayal. By 4 o'clock I can't fake it anymore. Taylor, watch the booth, I need air. I leave the hall and ride to the building's rooftop terrace. Eastbrook's sky is grey concrete, mirroring my mood. I scroll our chat history. This morning he texted, love you, see you tonight. Last night he held me whispering, never leave me. Men's words, hollow as tin. My phone buzzes. Chase calling. Baby, how's the expo? Still that velvet voice. Great, lots of admirers. I fight to sound normal. Perfect. Tied up at the office, dinner later. Office. He just snuck off to a cafe with Mia. Sure, I'll wait. I don't expose the lie. After hanging up, an idea hits. The atelier has security cameras. Last night's footage should hold every word he and Mia uttered, every glance. I drive straight there, yank open the system, and pull the files. On-screen Mia's acting is Oscar-worthy. The moment she spots the finished ring, or flips to naked greed. When she gushes, Chase is so lucky, a sneering smirk flickers. And as he tells her to leave first, she glances back at me, triumph and taunt in one look. I save that clip. Another memory surfaces. Last month Chase claimed a 3-day out-of-town meeting. Mia's Instagram later geo-tagged the same city. I brushed it off, now the puzzle fits. I open Mia's WhatsApp moments and scroll. Last weekend, a high-end restaurant selfie captioned, thanks for the company, mystery man. The place Chase kept promising to take me but never found time. 2 weeks ago, ticket stubs for the romance film he swore he wanted to watch with me. A month ago, 99 red roses, Chase never sent me more than a dozen. So every cold shoulder, every I'm swamped, hid this. The more I dig, the colder I feel, yet a plan begins to rise. They adore their little drama. Fine. I'll give them a finale they'll never forget. At 7 sharp Chase texts that is downstairs. Baby, you worked so hard, he says, reaching to hug me. I don't step away, but neither do I cling like before. What's wrong? You look down. He notices instantly. Tired. Had a nightmare client, droned on all afternoon. I toss out the first excuse that comes. Then let's not eat out tonight, he said. I'll have dinner delivered. Get some rest early. His thoughtfulness turned my stomach, but I still nodded. Back home, Chase went to the kitchen to pour me a glass of water. I seized the moment to check his phone. The chat pinned at the top of his WhatsApp had the label work, but the profile photo was unmistakably Mia. I tapped it and skimmed the latest messages. Chase, the ring is absolutely beautiful. I love it. Silly girl, I'm glad you like it. Once we're officially together, I'll give you even bigger surprises. But I still feel awful toward Brianna. She's been so good to me. Don't feel guilty. She'll know the truth soon enough. After the wedding the day after tomorrow, I'll find a chance to come clean. By the time I read that, my hands were shaking. They'd planned everything down to the minute, even the moment they'd tell me. What are you looking at? Chase had walked over without my noticing. I set the phone down fast. Nothing. A client just asked about a custom order. Work can wait until tomorrow. Rest tonight. He sat beside me. Oh, did Mia stop by the exhibition hall today? He asked it casually, as if he really had no idea. She did. Said she wanted to witness my big moment. I matched his tone. That girl, always so thoughtful. Chase smiled. She's loved beautiful jewelry since she was little. Your pieces must have thrilled her. Yes, she really does love them, I answered, layering meaning under every word. Chase ordered takeout for dinner. It was the same Italian pasta I usually adore, but tonight it tasted like cardboard. Chase, I said suddenly, are you looking forward to our wedding? He paused mid-chew and looked at me. Of course. I've waited a long time for this day. Will we be happy? We definitely will. He squeezed my hand. Brianna, we'll be the happiest couple in the world. Listening to those hollow promises, I almost exposed him on the spot. But I held back. I'd let them climb to their highest point before I yanked the ladder away. The next day was the final run-through before the wedding. According to schedule, I was to try on the gown one last time. I'll come with you, Chase offered. No need. Didn't you say you've got a pile of work at the office? And the groom seeing the dress before the ceremony is bad luck. You're right. Drive safely, call if you need anything. I nodded, got into the car alone, and drove off. First stop wasn't the bridal boutique, it was a private investigation firm. Miss Sterling, your fiancé is definitely cheating, the investigator said, handing me a manila envelope. Everything we gathered is inside. Inside were photos, audio files, credit card receipts, and hotel ledgers. The pictures showed Chase and Mia tangled together in restaurants, movie theaters, parks, even in the loft we'd picked as our future home. On the recordings their talk was filthier still. Mia actually laughed at how gullible I was. The card statements proved Chase had spent over $1 million on her bags, clothes, jewelry, while the hotel logs were jaw-dropping. Starting 3 months ago, they'd booked a different room almost every week. After I finished, my heart was truly dead. Ms. Sterling, what would you like us to do next? Edit all of this into a video. I'll play it at tomorrow's wedding. At your wedding? You're sure? Positive. My voice stayed calm. If they love performing, I'll give them a bigger stage. I left the investigator and went straight to a law office. Ms. Sterling, I advise you to hold on to this evidence. You may need it for a civil claim, the lawyer cautioned. No. I'm not suing anyone. I shook my head. I just want a clean, ruthless ending. You could lose a lot, the wedding costs alone. Money I can earn back. Dignity, not so much. The attorney nodded. Understood. What do you need from us? Draft a statement. I'll read it at the ceremony. That afternoon I kept the appointment at the bridal salon. Standing in front of the mirror in the snow-white gown, I tasted pure irony. Ms. Sterling, you look a bit pale, nerves, the stylist asked kindly. Probably. It's the big day, after all. I forced a smile. Don't worry. You'll be the most beautiful bride tomorrow, the most talked about bride. Absolutely. The happiest? Hardly. When I got home that evening, Chase was waiting in the living room. How's the gown? Perfect. You'll see tomorrow. My tone stayed flat. It's almost our day, excited? Very. I studied his face. Chase, what if something unexpected happens tomorrow? Like what? He tensed slightly. Rain, an uninvited guest, just hypotheticals. Impossible. I've arranged everything. Tomorrow will be flawless. He beamed. Yes, flawless, so flawless they'd never forget it. Wedding day. The weather over Eastbrook was ridiculously perfect. I rose at dawn. Makeup and hair were already downstairs, ready to sculpt the happiest bride. Ms. Sterling, your skin is glowing, you must be over the moon, the makeup artist chatted while brushing foundation on. Yes, over the moon. I smiled at the mirror, the smile looked genuine. Only I knew it was pre-revenge adrenaline. By 10 the bridesmaids had arrived, Mia among them. Brianna, I'm here to help. She wore a blush-pink bridesmaid gown, innocence incarnate. Didn't you say you were visiting your grandmother today? I changed my mind. I couldn't miss your big moment, and Chase called specially to say I had to come. Of course, he needed his true love in the front row. Then lend a hand. I played grateful. While I was slipping into the gown, she volunteered to lace the back. Sis, this dress must have cost a fortune. Her tone was laced with envy. If you love it, the price doesn't matter. Chase is so generous. I heard today alone costs $2 million. I watched her in the mirror, covetousness flickering in her eyes. Mia, you'll find someone better than Chase. She blinked, then smiled. Actually, I already like someone. When? Why didn't you tell me? I widened my eyes. It's recent. I'm not sure how he feels, so I kept quiet. A shy flush climbed her cheeks. That man must be honored. Her face reddened further. Brianna, if one day you found out I'd done something awful to you, would you forgive me? I swallowed a laugh and answered solemnly, you're the little sister I adore. You wouldn't hurt me. But what if? She insisted. I turned, met her gaze. If it involves the heart, true love overrides everything else, doesn't it? A spark leapt in her eyes. Really? Really? I patted her shoulder. Enough what IFS. Today's my day, let's be happy. At 11 the motorcade arrived. I rode in the lead Rolls-Royce, watching city blocks glide past every corner, cafe, traffic light, saturated with memories that ended now. The cars halted under the porte-cochere of the Eastbrook Grand. The entrance dripped luxury, red carpet, floral pillars, banks of fresh blooms. Guests were streaming in, family, friends, industry partners, all eager to witness our fairy tale. The bride is here, someone shouted. I drew a long breath, adjusted my 5-meter train, and stepped out. Cameras erupted, awed whispers rippled. Brianna, you look radiant, like a princess straight from a storybook. I waved, smiled, played the blissful fiancé while my eyes hunted Chase. He waited in the doorway of the grand ballroom, tailcoat, white bow tie, impossibly handsome. On seeing me, genuine admiration flashed through his gaze, but it wasn't love, it was the craftsman's pride in a perfect tool. My bride, breathtaking. He reached for my hand. I let him take it. Ready, he whispered. Absolutely. Ready to hand them a lifelong nightmare. Inside, the ballroom gleamed, our oversized portrait on the lead wall, twin rows of floral pillars, an arched canopy dripping crystals. Guests took their assigned seats, anticipatory chatter hushed to a hush. Mia sat front row, bridesmaid section, sneaking glances. Chase's eyes flicked toward her for half a second, long enough for me to clock. The officiant launched into our epic love story, how we met, how he proposed, how destiny delivered us to this altar. Touching, if any of it were true. Now, let us welcome the couple for the exchange of rings, the MC proclaimed. Chase produced the ring box and flipped it open. The diamond inside wasn't my eternal promise, that sparkler was wrapped around Mia's finger right now. This was a generic 2-carat stand-in. Brianna, will you marry me? He dropped to one knee, every gaze pinned on me. Cameras hovered like bees. I looked down at him, let the silence stretch, then spoke clearly. Chase, before I answer, I'd like everyone to see something. Do as I say. My voice was steady. The lead wall brightened slowly. I pulled out the remote I'd prepared long ago. Dear family and friends, thank you for coming to our wedding. On this special day, I'd like to share a few special memories. I pressed the remote. The screen lit up with video. The first clip was surveillance from an upscale restaurant, Chase and Mia on a date, toasting, Mia snuggling against his chest. Gasps rippled through the room. What's going on? Guests whispered. I clicked to the next clip, hotel security footage of Chase and Mia, hand in hand, stepping into an elevator. Timestamp. The same days last month I thought he was away on business. Chase's face drained of color. Brianna, what is this? Turn it off, now. I ignored him and kept going. The third clip had been shot yesterday at the Jewelry Expo. Chase kissed Mia and slid one of my designs onto her finger, murmuring, I love you, not her. Marrying her is just a family obligation. She's talented, sure, but so uptight, nothing like my sweet Mia. Every word boomed through the speakers, crisp and unmistakable. Silence fell like a shroud. Chase lunged for the remote. I sidestepped. Brianna, that's enough. What are you trying to do? Panic cracked his voice. Show everyone the truth, I said calmly. Expose the performance you two rehearsed. I faced the crowd. I'm sorry to air such ugliness on what was meant to be a celebration. But you deserve the truth. This man claimed to love me, so I agreed to marry him only to learn I'm nothing more than a tool. And this woman, I pointed to Mia, pale as frost in the bridesmaid row, is not only his cousin by marriage but also his mistress. The pink diamond flashing on her finger is my wedding ring, the one I designed for myself. Mia yanked at the band, but it was too late. Every gaze locked onto the glittering stone. It's fake, Chase yelled. She doctored those videos. Brianna, have you lost your mind? I gave a cold laugh. Forged? Then let's try something more authentic. I mirrored my phone to the lead wall, scrolling their chat history. Intimate texts, explicit confessions, cruel jokes at my expense, line after line, bright as neon. Still fabricated? I asked. Chase stood mute, his parents looked ready to vomit, mine rose in shock. And this? I lifted a folder. A private investigator's full report, every secret rendezvous, every receipt, for the past 3 months. Chase, you blew more than $1 million of my money on your lover. I kept every invoice. Shall I project them too? His knees buckled, he sagged to the floor, mouth opening and closing like a dying fish. Mia broke down, sobbing into her palms. Brianna, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to seduce my fiancé. I stepped closer. Didn't mean to wear my ring. Didn't mean to play the innocent while mocking me behind my back. Words drowned in her tears. I turned back to the guests. I'm sorry this wedding ends in disgrace, but I'm sure you understand, I can't marry a liar. That concludes the ceremony. I lifted the floral crown from my hair, peeled off my satin gloves, and dropped both at Chase's feet. Gathering my gown, I walked out of the grand ballroom without a backward glance. Behind me rose a swelling roar, someone comforting my parents, someone else cursing Chase, the press already shouting questions. None of it mattered. I stepped into sunlight outside the grand, drew a deep breath, and felt the chains fall away. Starting today, I was free. Asterisk. For a week all of Eastbrook gossiped about me. Some called me brave for exposing the truth at the altar. Others said I'd been reckless, that private shame should stay private. A few insisted I'd orchestrated the whole spectacle for attention. I didn't care. I'd chosen right. Chase phoned non-stop, texted essays, even camped below my condo. I never answered. Mia showed up in tears, promising to disappear if I'd only forgive her. It's too late for that, I said. On the 8th day I finally left home, heading for my atelier, time to rebuild my career. Chase's car was parked out front. The moment he spotted me he sprinted over. Brianna, thank God. He looked roan, eyes bloodshot, jaw unshaven. We have to talk. He grabbed my arm. I shook him off. There's nothing left to say. Let me explain, what you saw isn't the full story. He dogged my steps. Mia and I were just an impulse. I love you. I stopped. Still lying, Chase? I'm not lying, he insisted. I made a mistake, yes, but you're the one I want. Mia was only a distraction. Every guy slips sometimes. Slips. I laughed coldly. So betrayal is standard male behavior? That's not enough. I cut him off. You make me sick. The words stabbed, he went white. You can't do this to me, Brianna. 3 years together. Right, 3 years squandered in 3 months. I'll cut Mia off. I'll apologize to the world. Anything, just come back. I regarded his desperation without pity. Some things shatter past mending. No. He dropped to his knees on the sidewalk. Please, give me one more chance. Pedestrians stopped, phones out. A few recognized us and pointed excitedly. I'll do whatever you ask, he wept, clutching my leg. I looked down at the man who had once seemed tall and dashing. Now he was just a pitiful stray. Know what I hate most? I asked quietly. What? He rasped. Betrayal, lies, hypocrisy. You're guilty of all 3. I yanked free. Stay out of my life. Inside the creative tower, I began purging. Every memory tainted by Chase had to go. The bouquets he'd sent, our framed photos, sketches he'd doodled beside mine, trash bag after trash bag. While I worked, assistant burst in, panting. Brianna, trouble. Her face was flushed. What now? It's Mr. Harrington. He's downstairs making a scene, says he'll jump off the roof if you don't see him. Security can't calm him. I moved to the window. Sure enough, Chase stood on the sidewalk, shouting at the sky while a crowd gathered. He won't jump, I said. He loves himself too much. 30 minutes later, police escorted him away. So much for his suicide threat. That afternoon came an unexpected call. Ms. Sterling. Eastbrook Times. Could we schedule an exclusive interview? About the wedding exposure. The public wants your side. Fine, I said. I approve the final copy. Next day the reporter arrived, sharp, young, professional. I admire your nerve, she began. Few women would expose the groom at the altar. I refused to let my life become a joke, I replied. Any regrets? None. Given the same moment, I'd do it again. You lost a 3-year relationship. I didn't lose anything, I got rid of deadweight. Real love doesn't betray. Plans now? Rebuild my brand, focus on design. Romance. I smiled at the sunlight streaking through the windows. If love comes, it comes. But I'll never fall for pretty lies again. The article hit the stands and ignited social media. Strangers hailed me as the new icon of self-respect. Offers from fashion labels flooded in. Then a call from Manhattan lit up my phone. A man named Lincoln introduced himself, CEO of Obsidian Jewel Group. I read the piece. Your talent and story match the brand we're launching. We need a head designer. Terms? I asked, cautious. $5 million annual salary plus royalties. I'll fly down tomorrow, let's talk face to face. When Lincoln stepped into my studio the following afternoon, he looked every inch the successful magnate, early 30s, impeccably tailored, confidence soft-edged with charm. Ms. Sterling, it's a pleasure to meet you. He extended his hand. His palm was warm, the grip firm yet gentle, comfortable. Ellis, please sit. I waved him to the sofa. I've studied your work, exquisite technique, distinctive vision. You're exactly the talent we need. He came straight to the point. Sam, for your confidence. And the way you handled your wedding, courage and backbone in front of the whole city. That's precisely the mark of a modern woman. I blinked. You sought me out because of what happened. Partly, he admitted candidly. But mostly because of your gift. I've seen photos of your Eternal Promise line, outstanding. We talked for 2 hours while Lincoln outlined his company and the partnership plan. The firm, Obsidian Jewel Group, is a Beijing-based luxury house with over 100 boutiques nationwide. They're launching a new designer sub-brand aimed at the top tier, and they need a story-rich, headline-grabbing designer to serve as both face and chief creator. Ms. Sterling, take a few days, no rush for an answer, he said as we wrapped up. I'll think it over carefully. After he left, I sat lost in thought. It was a sensational chance to vault my career to the next level. Leaving Eastbrook also meant finally shaking Chase loose. That evening I told my parents. Brianna, go for it, Mom said. You need a clean slate. But Beijing is so far. Dad fretted. Dad, I'm 25, perfectly able to look after myself, I soothed. And opportunities like this are rare. Then decide for yourself. We're behind you, Mom said, patting my hand. Next morning I called Lincoln. Ellis, I'm in. Excellent. He sounded genuinely thrilled. When can we sign? Any time. Tomorrow, then. I'll have legal draft the papers. He arrived with an entire legal team. The terms were sweeter than I'd dared hope. $5 million annual salary, equity, and total creative freedom. Ms. Sterling, we believe in you, Lincoln said. We're counting on you to break new ground. After the ink dried, he insisted on dinner to celebrate. We went to the best steakhouse in Eastbrook and claimed a private booth over a meticulous 5-course meal. Ms. Sterling, may I ask something personal? He said, cradling his coffee. Shoot. Do you still believe in love? I lifted a brow. Ellis, why ask that? Pure curiosity. He smiled. Someone as accomplished as you must have suitors lining up. None at the moment, I answered honestly. After what just happened, I need time. I understand. He nodded. Still, I'm sure you'll meet someone worthy. Sam for the wish. Within a week I'd wrapped every loose end in Eastbrook and was Beijing bound. The night before departure, Chase showed up again, this time at my door instead of causing a scene downstairs. "Brianna, I heard you're leaving for Beijing." He looked haggard. "None of your business." I started to shut the door, he blocked it. "Are you running because of me?" "I'm not running, I'm chasing a better life." "Brianna, I know I screwed up, but can't we start over?" His eyes still clung to hope. I stared at him, feeling nothing. "Chase, ever heard the saying about spilled water? But, go. We're done. Let me go and free yourself." I closed the door on his pleas. Next morning I boarded the flight. Watching Eastbrook shrink beneath the wing, I felt only calm. From today on, my life is mine alone, no betrayal, no lies, only craft and dreams. The day after landing, Lincoln toured me through headquarters. Obsidian's tower rises 40 stories in Beijing's CBD, every inch opulent. "This entire floor is design," he said, ushering me into a sun-flooded corner space, my personal atelier, packed with the latest equipment, 10 times better than my old studio. "Ellis, you've thought of everything," I said, humbled. "Top talent deserves top tools." He grinned. "Oh, board meeting this afternoon. I'll introduce you." The directors welcomed me warmly. "We've been waiting for your magic, Ms. Sterling," one said. "I won't let you down, I promised." Afterward, Lincoln invited me to his office, minimalist, a wall of glass framing Beijing's skyline. "Settling in all right? Better than imagined." I accepted the tea he poured. "Ellis, may I ask why me? My resume isn't the flashiest." He pondered. "I saw potential and grit." Grit. A woman who can walk away at the altar has the spine to weather any storm. That's the stuff empires are built on. Heat blossomed in my chest. Someone valued my choice, not my scandal. "Sam for trusting me," I said, voice steady. The next month I vanished into work, sketching a line I called Rebirth. Every piece channeled the force that hauls you out of the dark. Lincoln flipped through the drafts, eyes alight. "This is it, exactly the energy we need." "Really?" "Positively. We'll Casey prototypes and stage a launch gala." 1 month later, the Rebirth Gala filled Eastbrook's top hotel with press, buyers, collectors, and socialites. I wore black silk and the collection's centerpiece, a necklace named Alex, a rare pigeon blood ruby winged by Pav diamonds and sapphires in the shape of a rising phoenix. "Ladies and gentlemen," the MC began, "welcome to Obsidian Jewels Rebirth Gala. Please welcome Chief Designer Brianna." On stage, I met the lights calmly. "Good evening. Rebirth was born from the valleys we all must walk. Life, like jewelry, demands cutting, polishing, even fire, before it sparkles. Each piece here salutes the courage to rise again." Applause rolled like thunder. Orders flew in before the last model exited. "Magnificent," Lincoln said, handing me a flute of champagne. "To your triumph." "To new beginnings," I answered, and the crystal rang like a bell. Afterward he offered me a ride. In the car he cleared his throat. "Ms. Sterling, a proposition. Shoot. International Jewelry Salon in Paris next month, come with me." Paris. Exposure to the world's cutting edge. "You game? Count me in." For weeks later we stepped off the plane into Parisian spring, my first time abroad, sky bluer than any sapphire. The salon dwarfed anything I'd seen. Rebirth stopped traffic. Foreign buyers praised its Eastern soul wrapped in modern lines. "Your work marries Parisian romance with Oriental elegance, très unique," a French retailer said. Between appointments, Lincoln escorted me to every postcard icon: Eiffel, Arc de Triomphe, Jordan. At each stop inspiration flooded in. "Paris really is an open-air museum," I said on the Seine quay, golden sunset bronzing the water. "No better place to hatch our next line," he replied, eyes shining. By the end of the week we'd inked distribution deals in 3 countries, and I had a notebook bursting with ideas. On the return flight, the cabin lights dimmed and Lincoln turned to me. "Ms. Sterling, there's something." A flight attendant appeared, asking for drink orders. He waved her off, then exhaled a laugh. Later. Back in Beijing. Back home I plunged into romantic Paris, a fusion of French flair and Chinese grace. Days blurred, Lincoln dropped by with pastries and gentle warnings not to burn out. Sleep is part of the creative process too, he teased one midnight, setting a latte on my drafting table. Almost there, I just want to power through and finish it. I kept sketching without lifting my head. Then I'll keep you company while you work overtime. He pulled a chair and sat beside me. You don't have to stay. I can manage alone. I'd like to watch you create. It's a learning experience. From then on, we routinely worked late together. When we got hungry, he ordered takeout. When I was tired, he brewed tea for me. His attentiveness moved me, but I didn't read more into it. Fresh from Chase's betrayal, I still carried scars. A month later, the Romantic Paris collection was finally finished. I handed the renderings to Lincoln and waited nervously for his verdict. He studied every sheet, expression laser-focused. Well? I asked, anxious. He looked up, eyes sparkling. Miss Sterling, this series is flawless. Really? I could hardly believe it. Absolutely. He sprang to his feet. This will be the most successful collection in our company's history. His excitement let me breathe again. When do we start production? I asked. Casey, he called the workshop at once. I want the finest master artisans, the best materials, perfection only. I visited the factory every day to oversee progress. Watching my drawings turn tangible felt indescribable. The flagship set, Midnight in Paris, was breathtaking. Necklace, earrings, bracelet, and ring, each centering a deep blue sapphire framed by pav diamonds and platinum, elegant and mysterious. This is wearable art, the master artisans marveled. 3 months later we launched Romantic Paris. The gala dwarfed our previous show. Top domestic clients flew in, plus overseas buyers. Wearing a midnight blue gown and the Midnight in Paris set, I introduced the line from the stage. The inspiration came from Paris at night, I said. Each piece tells a story of love and dreams. The audience listened, sighing appreciatively. After the final model disappeared, thunderous applause filled the hall. Miss Sterling, bravo, an Italian buyer exclaimed. I'll take the entire line. Me too, others shouted. By evening orders topped $100 million. Miss Sterling, you're our good luck charm. Lincoln hugged me. For a moment I felt his warmth and a faint trace of cologne. The brief embrace set my heart racing. I need the restroom. I hurried away. In the mirror my flushed cheeks confused me. Could I actually like Lincoln? The thought unsettled me. I wasn't ready for romance. Yet these months his quiet constancy, late-night company, tea when I flagged, steady encouragement had touched me more than any pretty speech. Back in the ballroom the celebration roared on. Lincoln approached. Miss Sterling, you okay? You're pink. Just adrenaline, I lied. Good. You've worked hard, go home and rest. All right. He drove me home in comfortable silence. At my building he opened the car door. Miss Sterling, thank you for tonight. It's my job. You've far exceeded that. His gaze held mine. You're extraordinary. My pulse stuttered. Sam for the compliment, I murmured. Miss Sterling. He paused. Get some sleep. Big day tomorrow. Good night. Good night. I watched his taillights vanish, wondering, maybe I could give myself, and him, a chance, but healing still needed time. Spring a year later, Lincoln and I finally crossed the line. He took me to a chic French bistro for my birthday. Candlelight, roses. Happy birthday, Miss Sterling, he toasted, eyes tender. Sam, I whispered, the setting pure cinema. This year working with you has been incredible, he said. You're gifted and remarkable. Ellis, I began, but he lifted a hand. Call me Lincoln. We're past formalities. Lincoln, I said, the name warm on my tongue. Brianna, he returned. I need to say something. My heart hammered. From day one your strength and beauty captivated me. He leaned closer. The more we've worked and traveled, the surer I've become you're who I've been searching for. Lincoln, I know you were hurt, still guarded, he continued. I'll wait until you're ready. My feelings are real, no agenda. Even if you say no, we'll stay the best of partners. Tears blurred my vision. I'd never felt such sincerity from Chase. Lincoln, actually. I drew a breath. I like you too. His eyes lit up. You do? Yes. Every thoughtful thing you've done, it's all stayed with me. Will you give us a chance? He asked, voice hushed. Looking into his honest eyes, my last wall crumbled. I will. He rose, came to my side, and gently clasped my hand. Brianna, Sam, you trust me. You made me believe in love again, I said, squeezing back. Let's build our happiness together. Deal, he smiled. We became a couple that night. His care multiplied, shoulder rubs when I was weary, homemade soup when I was sick, patience when I vented. Most precious was the absolute security, an open phone, shared schedules, zero doubt. Brianna, you're the center of my world, he often said. I answered with deeds, designing cufflinks for him, delivering late-night supper when he burned the midnight oil, evening walks to ease his stress. Our bond deepened like aging wine. 6 months later he proposed. On the anniversary of our first Paris trip he led me to the Seine. The golden sunset glazed the water and the city. Brianna, remember our first time here? He asked. Chase had just shattered me, I laughed. Love found me anyway. I wanted to confess then, but the timing was wrong. He pulled a ring box. Now I'm asking officially. He knelt. Inside glowed a pink diamond ring I'd never seen, surrounded by white diamonds, exquisite. Brianna, will you marry me? Yes, I answered without hesitation. He slipped on the ring and swept me into his arms. I'll love and protect you all my life, he whispered. And I you, I said, melting into his warmth. At last I felt like the luckiest woman alive, betrayal transfigured into trust. Lincoln wasn't perfect, just wholeheartedly real. That steady joy outshone any melodrama. A year later we married in Paris, intimate, family and closest friends only. I wore my own wedding gown and jewelry he'd commissioned, walking toward the man who was now my world. During the vow exchange I flashed back to the fiasco 3 years earlier. Had that pain never happened, I might have missed Lincoln. So I was grateful for the past. It taught me to treasure genuine love. After the ceremony we honeymooned in Paris, then flew home to Eastbrook to resume work and life. Today my career thrives, my heart is full, and best of all, hope lives inside me. Sometimes I wonder, if time reversed, would I choose the same? Absolutely. That brave decision granted me freedom and authentic love. Life takes away only to give better. Now I possess the rarest treasures, true love and my true self. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked it, please like and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time. My husband was going out of town for a buddy's bachelor party, claiming they would party straight through till dawn. At 1:30 in the morning I received an MMS from an unknown number, a photo of him in a karaoke lounge, arms around several women. Seconds later a WhatsApp from him popped up. Baby, the tiger's asleep, I'm on my way. He could not even be bothered to invent a fresh excuse. Calmly I screenshot the MMS and the chat, blasted them to every relative and friend we had, then hurled his suitcase off the second-floor balcony and answered with 3 words, look down. Today was our 3rd wedding anniversary. The moment the clock struck midnight I pulled the last Wellington from the oven and set it, steaming, on the white linen-draped table. Red wine, candles, and the white roses I had arranged myself, his favorite. Everything looked like a magazine shoot. I slipped off my chef's apron and reached for my phone to call Chase. The screen lit with a WhatsApp from him. Baby, the tiger's asleep, I'm on my way. My arm froze mid-air, the glow reflecting my stunned face. The tiger. For 3 married years that was the pet name he saved for me. Heat drained from my fingertips, ice shot from my soles to my skull. 10 minutes earlier we had been on the line together. His voice had carried a barely contained thrill and apology. Sweetheart, I'm sorry Aiden's getting hitched tomorrow. The guys are dragging me into an all-night LAN gaming marathon to mourn our vanished youth. I'll make the anniversary up to you tomorrow, okay? I was decanting the breathing wine into long-stem glasses. I simply smiled. Fine, go easy on the booze and don't stay up too late. Roger that, my queen. You turn in early, don't wait up. See? Consider it, flawless husband material. I had even felt guilty for the suspicion that flickered through me. Lately he came home reeking of unfamiliar perfume and swore it was client schmoozing. I had believed him. While I stared at the message, Feeling my blood solidify, the phone vibrated again. This time an MMS from a strange number. I opened it and my pupils contracted. The shot was taken in a private KTV room dripping with crystal chandeliers. Chase sat dead center, tie askew, 3 shirt buttons undone, chest on display. One arm curled possessively around a woman's waist. I knew her. Rather, I knew her far too well. Lila, his college first love, the eternal moonlight he murmured about whenever drunk. In the picture she nestled against him, wineglass lifted to his lips, smiling sweetly. Chase, head bent, wore an adoring grin, tenderness practically leaking from the pixels. Around them clung several dolled-up girls, the whole frame reeked of debauchery. This was his gaming all night with the brothers. This was honoring our lost youth. Turned out the youth he mourned involved reliving it with his moonlight, while I was merely the nuisance wife who needed fooling and tucking into the tiger. An invisible fist clenched my heart so hard I could not breathe. I thought I would scream, weep, flip the table like a madwoman. I did none of that. I simply stood, feeling every degree of warmth vacuumed out of me, leaving glacial numbness. I inhaled. The aroma of steak and roses now smelled obscene. With fingers that did not tremble I screenshot the filthy MMS and the missent WhatsApp. I opened the group chat labeled One Big Happy Family. Inside, my parents, his parents, every senior relative from both clans. I attached the 2 images and hit send. Next I opened the custom list containing all mutual friends, colleagues, and partners. Same images, same action. No caption. Silence is the loudest statement. The phone erupted in vibrations, calls, texts, chaos. I ignored them, flicked on airplane mode, and the world went still. I went upstairs to our bedroom. The walk-in closet, half-muted elegance, half-peacock flash. I yanked every designer suit, shirt, and limited edition tee off his rails and stuffed them into a giant suitcase. Then the pricey timepieces from his nightstand, the keys to his sports cars, the autographed sneakers from his study, anything that belonged to him. 3 stuffed cases. I dragged them to the bedroom balcony one by one. Moonlight spilled like cold mercury, the driveway lamp cast buttery light. Without hesitation I heaved the first case over. Crash, an explosion in the hush. Second case. Third. Watching the luggage burst open and scatter like trash, I tasted my first sliver of satisfaction. I took the phone off airplane mode, snapped a picture of the mess below, then opened the home automation app and changed the door code. Ding, new password accepted. I texted Chase the snapshot and the system notification. Finally I opened our chat and replied to his earlier message. 3 words, look down. Half an hour later shrill doorbells and hammering broke the night. Serena, have you lost your damn mind? Open up. Chase's roar, liquor-thick and furious, penetrated the oak. I strolled to the entrance and tapped the video intercom. On screen his face was warped with rage, hair wild, the bespoke shirt rumpled and sporting a lipstick stain. Behind him lay the wreckage I had created, abandoned luggage, clothing flung everywhere. I watched coldly, as one studies a clown. Spotting me, he jabbed a finger at the camera. What the hell are you trying to do? Broadcast that garbage to everyone? You want to ruin me? You'll regret this, Serena. When I still said nothing, the fury in his eyes yielded to cunning panic. He sucked in breaths, his tone softened and the familiar penitent smile surfaced. Darling, open the door and hear me out. I messed up, I lied. But the guys kept pouring shots, they insisted on hostesses for atmosphere. I was just being polite, never laid a hand on them. The pictures staged to needle Aiden the loser. And Lila, she was holding a gallery event downstairs, total coincidence, I swear. Once I would have melted, now I wanted to retch. Without a word I walked upstairs and opened my laptop. Chase had no idea our cloud backups were synced. I clicked the folder voice memos and opened the newest file, recorded 3 hours earlier. I hit play, turned the volume to max, and aimed the speakers at the intercom mic. First came blaring music, then Lila's syrupy voice rang out. Hey Chase, is your tiger really asleep? Won't she barge in on us? Next, Chase's tipsy, lewd laugh. Relax, babe. I told her it's bro night alien party, she bought it hook, line, and sinker. That woman's a lifeless code machine, apart from patents and pitch decks she knows zip. You're my soulmate. Oh stop, you sweet talker. When will you file on her? I'm sick of hiding. Soon, doll, once this deal closes the company is mine. I'll kick her out penniless. The firm, the house, everything will be ours. Come, let's start the celebration. What followed were X-rated flirts and panting. Every syllable, a poisoned blade, flayed the last warmth from my heart. Outside, Chase's face drained from crimson to paper white, settling on the mortified terror of a man stripped bare. You bugged me, he sputtered, mask shredded. Serena, you psycho. I'm done. Looking at your zombie face every day makes me puke. You think Vance Tech can't run without you? You're just a tool. Venom gushed like sore water. Just then my phone rang. Dolores. I accepted. Shrieks spewed instantly. Serena, are you trying to end this marriage? Sending filth to the family chat in the middle of the night. Do you want the Vance name dragged through mud? She omitted to ask what her son had done. Blame fell straight on me. Men socialize. What's wrong with a little fun? Can't you be reasonable? If you destroy my son, I'll hound you forever. I never spoke. Destroy the family? That home died the instant he wrapped his arms around another woman. I hung up, opened contacts, tapped Dolores, block. Silence returned. I looked back at the screen and uttered the coldest sentence I had spoken in 7 years. Chase, we're done. Have your lawyer call me tomorrow. I cut the feed, sealing his final curses outside my world. I slid down the cold wall and sat on the floor. Beyond the window the sky blushed with first light. A new day was dawning. My war had only begun. At dawn I texted my best friend, Jordan. She was the gold standard divorce attorney everybody in Riverdale talked about: ruthless tactics, razor tongue, and a case record that read like a perfect scoreboard. The moment the call connected, the clatter of her keyboard spilled through the speaker. Well, Princess finally remembers how to dial. Thought you planned to hibernate in that love grave of yours forever. Her voice always carried that teasing lilt, yet right now it was the only driftwood I could grip. I gave her the stripped-down version of last night in as few words as possible. A couple of silent beats, then Jordan's cold laugh cracked across the line. Told you Chase was nothing but a prettily embroidered pillow that survives on cheekbones. Inside, it's already rotted. And you still treated him like treasure. Enough small talk. You kept the evidence, recordings, screenshots, all of it. Every bite. Good. Zip it to my inbox. From this second I'm your counsel. Don't breathe in Chase's direction, or his folks, without my say-so. They want a fight. I'll play till the wheels fall off. The line went dead. I bundled every file and shot the package to Jordan. Watching scent bloom on the screen let the fist around my heart loosen a notch. That afternoon her call came, voice graver than I'd ever heard it. Serena, the picture's ugly. I just spoke with Chase's lawyer. The guy's granite solid. He insists the villa you two live in was bought outright before the wedding by his parents, deed in his name only, separate property, end of story. And the company? Legal rep is him, every external contract, every account, his. He claims you're plain Avery, zero contribution. In a divorce you walk away with $0. I listened, anger crystallizing into a sour laugh. Avery, the outfit we birthed together, started in a Showbark studio, now valued north of $100 million, was coded by me, steered by me, dragged through countless all-nighters by me and the crew I led. Chase, apart from that glib tongue and pretty face handling drinks and PR, what else did he ever do? And now he has the gall to say I added no value? Not only is he denying your stake, Jordan's tone dropped another degree, he's flipping the script, says you're domineering, unstable, neglecting Rowan, the party at fault, and demands you leave with nothing. A textbook slapback. Before I could digest the shamelessness, my phone buzzed again. A WhatsApp from Lila. Her avatar was a selfie soaked in gallery sunshine. Serena, please don't blame Chase. He's been under crushing pressure, company burdens, family hopes. I only comforted him when he was at his weakest. There's really nothing between us, don't misread. A marriage is hard to build, try to understand him. Men and their pride, you know? Steeped in syrup compassion, every word pinning a halo on her own head while nailing me to the cross of immature and unsympathetic. I stared at the screen, eyes frosting over. Comfort that day toured into bed. I didn't type a reply. I opened my photo roll, sent the high-res shot of her and Chase entwined in the karaoke booth to my printer, and dialed same-day courier. Destination, her gallery. On the delivery slip I scribbled, Alex, may your exhibition fly off the walls. After that small act of vengeance, the knot in my chest eased barely. But Chase wasn't done. At dusk, while I was on video with Jordan mapping countermoves, Crisis PR patched through in a panic. D. Dillon, disaster, Quinn and his mom are downstairs making a scene. My pulse stuttered. I cut to the security app. The lobby was already ringed by rubbernecking staff. Dolores sat slap-bang on the polished marble, palms slapping her thighs, launching into her signature wail. Good heavens, what sin did the Vance family commit to marry such a viper? She can't lay an egg yet won't let my son find another. Now she wants to snatch his company and drive us to our graves. A barren hen, a jinx. I'll die right here so everyone can see how she murdered her own Dolores. Those venomous needles jabbed straight into my eardrums. Barren hen, her pet name for me ever since 3 childless years, convinced her the fault was entirely mine. No amount of explaining that we'd both chosen to delay kids for careers ever dented her verdict. And Tace. He hovered at her side, playing the filial, helpless martyr. Now and then he helped his rolling mother up, now and then through the onlookers a pained, forbearing smile, voice pitched just loud enough. Please, folks, this is family only. Serena, she's just overwhelmed. Maybe I've been too buried in work lately. On the surface he was cushioning my fall. Underneath every phrase insinuated I was throwing a tantrum to extort success. What a loving mother-son double act. I watched the surveillance feed without a flicker, finding the circus equal parts absurd and pathetic. I never showed my face, just speed-dialed security. Escort those 2 guests out. If they resist, call 911, cite disorderly conduct. Security moved fast. In 5 minutes the lobby was silent again. I thought the farce was finished for the day. But that night, running the books out of habit, I froze. The company's primary account was missing a 50 million yuan transfer, executed that afternoon. Perry, a materials supplier I'd never heard of. Initiator, Chase. Memo, XX Project Advance. My stomach lurched. The XX project, my baby, still in early talks, nowhere near ready for an advance, let alone one that size. He was siphoning assets. It hit me. The affair, his mother's spectacle, none of it spontaneous. This was a premeditated siege to turf me out and loot what we'd built. And only now did I see the tip of the iceberg. Things look dire, Jordan said through the speaker, lawyer calm yet edged. Chase is legal representative, top of the org chart. If he produces a contract, bogus or not, calling that transfer an advance, we can't quickly tag it as embezzlement. Serena, he's pulling the foundation out. By the time a verdict lands, the pantry could be bare even if you win. I squeezed the phone until my knuckles blanched. I understood, God, did I understand? Chase's lifelong talent, using the rules to knife between them. We can't wait. I have to hold the inside. I hung up and dialed our core, kids I'd mentored since college, the limbs I trusted most. I expected instant solidarity. Instead, lines wobbled. Taylor, this is domestic, you and Quinn. Us underlings shouldn't take sides, right? Yeah, Taylor, Quinn told the all hands you're just on sick leave. Nothing major's changing. One of them even hinted, Taylor, Quinn, he promised raises, maybe some options once the project wraps. My heart sank degree by degree. So while raiding the vault, Chase was also buying souls. He was using the value I'd created to demolish my own bridge. Next morning brought worse. Chase convened a staff-wide meeting. There he announced that I was on open-ended medical leave. At the same time he unveiled a new hire. Renowned curator and artist Lila, appointed creative consultant, tasked with uplifting Vansdecker's brand aesthetic. A colleague slipped me a photo. Lila in a tailored Chanel suit, standing beside Chase, smiling serene and cerebral. A conquering flag planted in my career, my territory. In the days that followed, the slide accelerated. Lila, self-declared creative consultant, barged into core projects, though technology was Greek to her. She critiqued my mock-ups with airy nonsense. This palette is too cold, lacks warmth, doesn't feel like home. This UX flow is convoluted, users will drown, simplify. High on vaporous art speak, she mangled the 6-month bid I was about to submit beyond recognition. And Chase, far from reining her in, applauded. Ms. Wynn's insights are invaluable, let's absorb them. He was using her amateur brush to scrub my technical footprint from the firm. My loyalists were sidelined, my proposals trashed. Within days my badge stopped working at the turnstiles. I'd been erased. Meanwhile the gossip vines in both families flowered. Hear how Serena's dominance drove Chase from home? Yeah, flaunts her paycheck, disrespects Dolores, refuses babies, what man could bear it? Poor Chase. No prize for guessing the source. My beloved Dolores, spewing acid to salt my name. Besieged on every front, career, Rowan, reputation, I locked myself in the empty villa, screening calls, muting notifications. Late one night I sat in the dark, laptop aglow with an old selfie, his arms around me, both of us radiant. Taken the day our first funding hit, Chase had hoisted me high, crowning me his queen, his proudest achievement. I'd believed we'd be each other's forever. Now the man who vowed to build me a kingdom had personally shoved me off the cliff. A tide of helpless grief surged, drowning every breath. I pressed my face into my hands and finally, for the first time since the betrayal, let the sob tear loose, animal, ragged. The tears scalded, as if burning away every ounce of humiliation, rage, and refusal I'd swallowed since the day everything cracked. When I was at my lowest ebb, Jordan delivered the final straw. Serena, brace yourself. Chase has filed for a property preservation order at Riverdale Superior Court. Your personal bank accounts are already frozen. My mind gave a hollow buzz, then went white. His reason: he suspects you secretly control a huge, unexplained sum acquired during our marriage through an affair and that you're trying to hide community property. I almost laughed out loud. That money had been an angel investment I made before the wedding with the inheritance my parents left me when they died in the car crash. Over the years the stake had multiplied dozens of times into a considerable asset. I'd never touched it. I'd planned to keep it as our children's education fund someday. Chase had always known the account existed. Now he was using it to smear me for infidelity and hidden assets. Shameless no longer covered what this man was. The morning after the freeze, Chase asked me to negotiate. He chose Lila's gallery as the venue. I sneered and agreed. I wanted to see what fresh trick they thought they could pull. The gallery sat in the busiest art district, minimalist and expensive. Inside, Lila was wearing a soft beige loungewear set while she watered a potted plant. She wasn't surprised to see me. Instead she gave me a hostess-like, gentle smile. Serena, you're here. Chase is waiting inside. I recognized the loungewear at once. Last year I had bought the same brand, even the same size. She was declaring victory and ownership without saying a word. I ignored her and walked straight in. The walls were lined with Lila's paintings. Most were bright, abstract splashes that tried hard to look profound. In the most prominent spot hung a portrait. A man in a white shirt stood in sunlight, his profile tender and alluring. It was Chase. In the lower right corner were the artist's signature and a date, 2 years ago. So their comfort had started that long ago. Chase sat in the back lounge, an exquisite tea set in front of him. He'd lost weight, faint shadows rested under his eyes, but he looked energetic, sure he had already won. When he lifted his gaze, I saw a cold contempt I'd never seen before. Sit. Lila drifted over and settled naturally beside him, poured me a cup, and slid it across the low table. Serena, I know this is hard to accept, but I don't want to hide it anymore. Actually, Chase and I never broke up after college. We're the real thing, soulmates. You were maybe just an accident on our love story. An accident. 7 years of my youth and grind, hauling him from nothing to the top, traded for the word accident. I stared at the perfect couple. An icy fist clamped my heart until I couldn't breathe. Chase picked up, voice toneless, as if reading someone else's lines. Serena, I'm giving you one last chance. Option 1. Sign this divorce settlement, admit you're at fault, give up every cent, walk away clean. I'll withdraw the suit and unfreeze your accounts today. He slid a folder toward me. Option 2. We meet in court. I have time and ways to leave you penniless and branded a cheating slut no one in this city will ever hire again. He thumbed his phone and flashed a photo, me locked in a passionate embrace with a man outside a hotel. The guy was a college of mine who'd just returned. A bunch of us old classmates had dinner together. The angle was vicious, the Photoshop obvious, but it looked as if I'd thrown myself at him. You. My whole body shook. Easy, Chase grinned. That's just the appetizer. Imagine I mail this to every investor, every reporter who'll trust a product built by a woman who can't keep her skirt zipped. He savored my shock, his smile widening. Oh, and the core code and every patent. I've had the best IP firm in the country re-register everything, personally in my name. He stood, towering, studying me like a lamb waiting for slaughter. Serena, your flaw was overconfidence. You thought the company couldn't live without you? That the engineer's loyalty was yours? Grow up. You're just a coder buried in lines. I'm the soul who turns your code into cash. Without me, Your code is worthless. He and Lila exchanged a victor's smirk, arrogance and mockery fused into one. I sat frozen, every sentence a sledgehammer pounding my chest. Only then did I understand this wasn't a simple divorce. It was a flawless trap prepared for 2 years, maybe longer. They wanted more than money, more than the company. They meant to drain every drop of my worth and grind me into dust. The suffocation crashed over me. I almost blacked out. In that suffocating despair my mind became icily clear. I looked at their self-satisfied faces and felt the last sliver of hesitation shatter. I rose, lifted the tea Lila had poured, stepped to Chase's portrait. Under their stunned stares, I flung the scalding tea straight across that hypocritical smile. My painting. Lila shrieked and rushed over. Without glancing at the mess, I turned and walked out. At the door I paused, phone in hand, speed-dialed Jordan. She picked up instantly. I said only 4 words. Jordan, set it off. Yes, set it off. They started this war, now I write the rules. I slid into my car, started the engine, let cold night air hit my burning cheeks. Chase thinks every card is his. He has no idea the hand he sees is the hand I let him see. He doesn't know our seed 50,000 didn't come from the dowry his parents bragged about but from that frozen inheritance. To give my figurehead face, we'd signed a notarized capital equity proxy that spells out I am the legal owner and he is only a nominee. He also doesn't know the core servers sit behind triple encrypted firewalls whose root command has only one master, me. The patents he transferred are surface layer apps, one keystroke and I can brick the entire system, turn his personal IP into scrambled garbage. And he absolutely doesn't know the core who seemed to waver and be bought were actually my double agents. The first night Chase came home late wearing a perfume that wasn't mine, I sensed the rot. I met them privately and asked, if Chase and I ever split, would they act the betrayal for me? I promised double salaries plus richer stock options. They said yes without blinking. They knew who really taught them, who grew them. Chase's petty favors could never buy loyalty. While I drove I placed call after call. Ellis, it's Serena. Tell the headhunter we discussed. I have several top engineers looking for a new home. Casey, Serena here. I polished the proposal I mentioned. Are you free tomorrow for a face-to-face? Casey, one of our original angels and a famed tech obsessive, has always said my technical vision outclassed Chase's marketing gloss. Then I unscrewed my fountain pen and extracted the micro-recorder it hid. Every syllable from the gallery, Chase's forged photo, his threat that I leave penniless, was captured. I encrypted the file and shot it to Jordan. Finally I opened my laptop, logged onto an overseas art forum, typed Lila's name plus keywords from her flagship canvases. A post popped up at once, a young French avant-gardist accusing a Chinese curator Win Lai of ripping off his works and staging a solo show, side-by-side images, 90% overlap. I bundled the link and the artist's contact, anonymously blasted them to every outlet that lives for Artworld scandal. When it was done I parked by the river. Staring at the black water and distant glitter, I told myself, Serena, don't be afraid. You endured, waiting until he played every card. Now it's your turn. Dawn is coming. 3 days later the city's biggest convention center hosted the annual Smart City bid. Chase's flagship project was on the roster. I stayed away, but a friend streamed it for me. On-screen Chase, razor-creased suit, radiated confidence as he pitched the plan Lila had refined. He spoke with fire, his slides dazzling. Yet the expert judge's brows knit tighter and tighter. Quinn, your proposal looks polished, but its energy matching and data model cause collapse under scrutiny, pure castles in the air, one veteran painlist said bluntly. Chase's face froze, he stammered, clueless. Because technical nuance was never his turf. And the engineers he relied on were soaking in hot springs 100 miles away. The outcome was never in doubt, Chase's company was crushed. The winning bid went to an unknown startup called SailTech. Its legal representative was Jordan. And the airtight, cutting-edge proposal that dazzled every judge had been written by me. On the livestream Chase walked off the stage hollow-eyed. I, meanwhile, sat in my newly rented office and gently tapped the enter key. At that same moment, 30 kilometers away, a tiny program accidentally leaked onto Chase's internal network. Out of curiosity, dozens of employees clicked it. The next second every screen in the building turned blue and the entire system crashed. All data, every file, became unreadable. The office plunged into dead silence and panic. Chase stormed around screaming at IT, but soon realized that without me they couldn't even find the back-end login. The fortress-like system I had built now served as the cage that locked all his ambition inside. While he was still at a loss, his phone rang. The handful of core engineers he relied on most had all submitted electronic resignation letters within minutes of one another. Chase panicked. He dialed frantically, promising double salaries to lure them back. On the other end, my inside PROT put the call on speaker and said cheerfully, "Sorry, Quinn, our new boss just tripled our pay and threw in founding stock. Right now we're team building in Bali. The view's amazing." Then he hung up and posted a sun-sand bikini photo on WhatsApp Moments with the caption, "Living large with the new boss, beautiful, kind, and crazy generous." The post was visible to Chase only. I could picture the spectacular expression on his face when he saw it. Before the first wave had settled, the second struck. That afternoon, Casey's corporation officially announced that, after careful review, it was pulling every dollar of investment from Chase's firm. Immediately afterward, Casey declared it would pour $100 million into SailTech to back its smart city expansion. The industry was rocked. Casey's withdrawal toppled the first domino. Chase's cash flow snapped. The 50 million yuan transfer he had siphoned off to gut the company had vanished with the lost bid, and because he couldn't honor the advance payment contracts, massive breach of contract penalties now came knocking. His phone buzzed non-stop with furious suppliers and bankers demanding payment. He rang me again and again. I didn't answer. I simply had Jordan courier a meticulously worded lawyer's letter to his office by priority dispatch. Its message was simple. Given Chase's severe marital misconduct and suspected illegal diversion and embezzlement of corporate assets, Serena hereby files for divorce. Demand: under the equity vesting agreement he signed, Chase must return the 90% of VanceTech shares he holds in trust and compensate the company for all losses caused by his dereliction. I stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of SailTech's brand new office, a steaming cup of coffee in hand. Across the street sat Chase's building. Down below, several groups of suppliers had already gathered, waving banners, demanding payment. "Chase, didn't you say my code was worthless without you? Now let's see how many days your company lasts without it." His world was collapsing in real time, and the final straw came from his so-called true love, Lila. The post exposing her plagiarism, amplified by a few shameless tabloids, detonated across the art world and social media. #curator Lila, #image implosion, #cross-border copyright, #plagiarism shame. The hashtags rocketed up the trending tab, each followed by a purple boom. All those press releases touting her as a muse and art prodigy became punchlines. Netizens scrutinized every canvas she'd ever shown. Every piece turned out to be a clumsy knockoff of some obscure foreign artist. Her Wynn Gallery's reputation nosedived. Upcoming exhibitions were scrapped, sponsors fled, demanding damages. Overnight, Lila went from celebrated art it girl to public enemy. That was when the crisis PR I'd hired leaked an anonymous bombshell to the press. It detailed how, 2 years earlier, Lila had deliberately inserted herself into my marriage and exploited Chase's obsession to siphon funds for a gallery that was little more than a money-laundering vanity project. The evidence trail even included bank records of company-to-gallery transfers Chase had approved. The scandal exploded. Lila wasn't merely a plagiarist, she was a calculating homewrecker. Chase was dragged down with her, an adulterous CEO who let his mistress pick the company's pockets. VanceTech's share price plummeted, employees panicked. Exhausted and cornered, Chase and Lila finally had their biggest blow-up. She sobbed, demanding a fortune to shut the media up. He was drowning in debt, there was nothing left. "Didn't you say you loved me, not my money? Now that we're in trouble, all you want is cash. Are you even a man? I took all this heat for you. If it weren't for you, would Serena have ruined me? Don't you dare mention Serena. If you hadn't messed with the project, would we have lost? You know nothing about design, you're jinx. I don't care. Get me the money or I'll spill every dirty secret. We'll crash together." The miniature recorder I'd hidden under the sofa in Lila's gallery lounge caught every word. I didn't release it right away. I clipped the juiciest part and mailed it anonymously to my dear Dolores. In it, Lila spat that Dolores was an ignorant old crow and sneered that Chase was a kept man who couldn't function without Serena. They say Dolores's blood pressure shot sky high and she was rushed to the hospital. From her bed she finally saw the fairy dust daughter-in-law she defended for what she was, wailing that she'd been blind. Too late. Because salaries hadn't been paid for months, VanceTech employees filed en masse for labor arbitration. And the photoshopped affair pic, Chase had tried to blackmail me with was forensically demolished by an image analysis expert Jordan flew in, proof of his forgery, libel, and attempted asset seizure. The untouchable Chase was now besieged on every side. The paper empire he'd built toppled like dominoes before my eyes, and I was merely a cold spectator. The day before court he asked to meet one last time to mediate. We chose the cafe we used to love. He was already there when I arrived. Barely days had passed, yet he looked 10 years older. His once perfect hair hung greasy, his expensive suit creased, eyes sunken, face unshaven. Defeat clung to him like a odor. Nothing remained of the cocky gallerist I remembered. When he saw me, resentment, unwillingness, but mostly fear flashed through his cloudy eyes. He half rose to pull out my chair, then awkwardly retreated. I ignored him and Saturday. "Serena," he croaked. "Do we really have to go this far?" I said nothing, only lifted my glass of water. Seeing no reaction, he played the nostalgia card. He reminisced about sharing instant noodles in our tiny college flat, pulling all-nighters on our first project. He recalled how we wept and laughed when we landed seed funding. He described the day we bought the house and I told him, "Chase, we're home." His eyes reddened, voice cracking. I was wrong, so wrong. Lila tricked me. I've always loved only you. I just felt small. The bigger Vanstech grew, the more I lagged behind. You're brilliant, dazzling. Standing next to you terrified me. I feared you'd wake up one day and leave, so I tried to prove myself, to keep control. I was only muddled for a moment. I never meant to hurt you. Tears streamed. He looked the picture of repentance. Had I not held those filthy recordings, I might almost have believed him. I listened in silence until he finished, wiped his remorseful tears, and gazed at me with desperate hope. "Serena, for the sake of 7 years, give me one more chance. Let's drop the suit, start over. I'll give the company back, I'll do anything you say." I set my glass down and let out my first sound of the day, a soft laugh. "Chase, your performance is still flawless." His face froze. I drew from my bag a notarized document he never knew existed and slid it across. "Company founding capital. Equity trust agreement." Read it, carefully. Hands trembling, he lifted the pages. When he saw the clause, registered capital 500,000 yuan, fully paid by Serena, 90% of shares in Chase's name held in trust for Serena above his own flamboyant signature, the blood drained from his face. "This can't be real," he whispered. "Real or not, the judge will decide," I said coldly. "I'm not here for confession or nostalgia." I leaned in slightly and spoke each word like a nail. "Chase, you weren't muddled, you're simply rotten. Selfishness and greed are carved into your bones. What you miss isn't me, it's the value I created, the spotlight and fortune I brought you. Pressure. Insecurity. Pretty excuses for your sordid betrayal and incompetent ambition. I came only to deliver one message. I'm taking back my company, my money, and I'm suing you for embezzlement and misappropriation in Vanstecker's name. As for the forged evidence you used to frame me, we'll settle that in court, piece by piece. Chase, get ready to rot in a cell." My words hit him like the final straw, crushing whatever was left. The last flicker of hope and pretense in his eyes disintegrated, replaced by bottomless fear and despair. "No, don't. Serena, you can't do this to me." With a thud he dropped to his knees in front of everyone and shuffled forward, arms out to clutch my legs. "I beg you. Let me off. For the sake of everything we once had, leave me a way out." Tears and snot ran down his face. He looked a wreck, nothing left of the successful man he'd pretended to be. I stepped back, revolted. When he saw pleading was useless, a mad hatred flashed in his eyes and he lunged at me, as if to strike. "You bitch. You ruined me. I'll kill you." Before he could touch me, 2 black-suited security guards slipped from behind and pinned him, one on each arm. Jordan, worried, had arranged it ahead of time. I stood, straightened my jacket, and looked down at his twisted, desperate face, my heart a sheet of still water. The war he started would end today, with his total rout. In court, the outcome was never in doubt. Faced with the ironclad trust agreement and that lethal recording, every excuse Chase made sounded hollow. The judge granted our divorce. All company shares he'd held in trust reverted to me. He was sentenced to 5 years for embezzlement and malicious prosecution. He also had to repay every dollar his schemes cost the company. He walked away with nothing and debts most people couldn't clear in a lifetime. As for Lila, trapped between plagiarism scandals and mounting loans, her gallery collapsed. Word is she sold everything, still couldn't pay what she owed, and slunk out of the city, no one knows where. My ex Dolores took to her bed when her pride and joy son was locked up. She kept showing up at my tower, begging security to let her see me. They never did. I refused to meet her. I told Jordan to relay one message: the day the marriage ended, so did any duty I had to support Chase's parents. I'm no saint, and I don't run a charity. After the damage that family did, not kicking them on the way down was mercy enough. With the garbage taken out, I formally took over the old firm and merged it into my new startup, Chihang Tech. I renamed the combined Chien Tech. Chi for a new voyage, Yang for Serena. A fresh launch, wholly mine. At the opening ceremony I wore a crisp white pantsuit, sole founder and chairwoman, standing in the spotlight. Casey led the applause. Every employee who'd stuck with me through the storm had spark in their eyes. I announced a brand new equity plan. The brothers and sisters who'd weathered the siege would drink the richest cup of the profits. In the cheers I spotted Jordan in a corner, lifting a flute of champagne in salute. We smiled at each other, words weren't needed. When the event ended, the first thing I did was delete every trace of Chase from my phone. Photos, messages, contacts, all gone. Then I phoned a broker and listed the villa that held too many ugly memories. Within days I closed on a 300 square meter downtown penthouse. Standing at the floor-to-ceiling windows, I own a panorama of glittering city lights. The first night in the new place I slept deep and dreamless. The first time in 7 years. The Serena who once crawled for love, who swallowed everything for Rowan, died the night that wrong-numbered message arrived. The woman breathing now is brand new, alive for herself alone. With operations running smooth, Chien grew even faster than I'd forecast. Our core tech led the field, big international contracts rolled in, and we became the hottest star in the tech galaxy. Cameron, months flashed by. One afternoon I was mid-meeting when my assistant knocked, expression odd. Dylan, reception says a Mr. Vance is downstairs, no appointment. A Vance. I flicked open the security tablet. In the lobby sat a man ill at ease, cheap suit too large, tie crooked, hair greasy, stubble dull, eyes skittering. Chase. No idea when he'd gotten out, or how he dared show up. I spoke into the intercom, voice cold. Tell reception I don't know him, security, escort him out. Meeting resumed. Half an hour later I headed to the garage. The instant I stepped outside a figure burst from the hedges and blocked my path. Chase. Booted out, he'd waited all this time. Serena, he called, face a mix of fawning and resentment. I thought he wanted reconciliation, maybe remorse. Wrong. He rubbed his hands, gaze sliding. I'm a little tight. We were husband and wife, can't you lend me something to get by? I almost laughed at the shameless request. Seeing me silent, he raised his voice, as if the demand were only fair. The company was ours. Even if it's yours now, we built it together. You live in a palace, drive a Bentley, everyone calls you Dylan, I can't even eat. You owe me a lifeline. Husband and wife, built together. Coming from him the words were an insult. I lowered the window an inch, sunglasses shielding my eyes, voice flat. A lifeline is something you forge yourself, not a gift from me. When you and Lila wove that net to leave me with nothing, did you leave me a lifeline? He turned puce, choking on his own rebuttal. I couldn't be bothered. From my wallet I drew a single 100 yuan bill. Then I opened my fingers. Emery. The red note drifted down to the dusty tip of his shoe. For old time's sake, go buy lunch. My tone was calm, the way you'd toss change to a panhandler. Chase's eyes reddened, shame, rage, venom swirling. He glared at me, then at the money by his feet. At last survival beat the last shard of pride. Under my gaze he bent slowly, humiliated, picked up the bill, his fingers trembling. I watched, a cold smile hooking my mouth. Then, without another look, I floored the accelerator. The black Bentley purred and shot away. In the mirror his figure, his pathetic life, shrank, blurred, and vanished for good. 1 year later Chien rang the opening bell on Nasdaq. At the celebration Jordan laughed, glass in hand. Congrats, Dylan, now you're a billionairess. If I ever work for you, you've got to cover me. We clinked. Just don't mind working for a tiger. We burst out laughing. After the IPO I took a long vacation. Paris, Louvre corridors, Florence, Uffizi halls, Tuscan sun on wheat fields. I ended in a quiet Swiss town, snow peaks, glassy lake, unhurried strollers. I picked up photography again, the hobby of my college days. No more cold products or steel towers. My lens caught children laughing in sunlight, couples embracing in corner cafes, alpine snow that never melts. One lakeside afternoon a man stopped me, huge easel on his back, paint on his shirt, looking every inch a wandering. He glanced at my frame and leaned in. Bold composition, cool angle, yet the shot pulses with life. We talked. He wasn't a painter but an architect gathering inspiration. Architecture, photography, road stories. The afternoon flew. Sunset, we parted with a smile, no numbers exchanged, two planets brushing orbits before returning to their own paths. Perfect. I no longer need a relationship to prove worth, nor anyone's company to fill a void. Back home I threw myself into work, yet everything felt different. I still love the craft, love code leaping under my fingers, but it is no longer my whole life. I train, arrange flowers, shut my phone on Saturday afternoons and just read. I live for myself, for my own joy. Another year, and our product launch hit the stage. In a tailored red suit I stood center, poised, confident, glowing. Facing seas of flashing cameras I suddenly remembered Chase's sneer of long ago. Tiger's asleep, babe. I looked straight into the lenses and smiled, bright and real. Yes, I'm Tiger. Once asleep, now fully awake. I will rip any enemy to shreds with sharpest claws and guard my domain. And my domain isn't just this company, isn't just this city. My realm is freedom, dignity, the boundless starlit ocean ahead. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and share with friends. We're waiting for your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more great stories. See you next time.